560 The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So it was a violent weekend, unfortunately. Both locally and in D.C., of course. As I'm sure everybody who listens to this show is well aware. Thankfully, nobody was hurt in D.C., and we'll get to that. But we start with 2 police officers being shot, one being murdered at a Swedish hospital by a repeat violent offender. One police officer, John Bartholomew, is dead. 10 years on the force, 38 years old, just married last year. And another, a 20-year veteran of the Chicago police force, is clinging to life in critical condition. This was the call that went out from police dispatch.
Everybody go, just go. Just go, just go. I got shots fired, I got 310-1 sitting up here, everybody go. Swedish Hospital, 2739 Foster, go, just go.
Prisoner that shot the policeman,
Prisoner shot the policeman.
Prisoner shot the policeman. And this is what Police Superintendent Larry Snelling, the news that he had to deliver over the weekend.
I'm sad to say that we've lost another officer in the line of duty and another officer who's been critically injured. At approximately 10:50 a.m., our officers transported an individual over to Swedish Covenant Hospital for an observation, at which time 2 of our officers were shot. One was shot critically and was pronounced. The second officer right now is fighting for his life in the hospital behind us. And we ask that you keep the families of these officers in your prayers. This is a lot to go through. These are the dangers of policing. This is a very, very and extremely dangerous profession. But our officers go out there every single day and they do this work knowing that when they go into these environments that they're not safe. But they accept that, and that's the work that they do. We have an individual who's in custody right now. And a weapon recovered.
Dangerous profession, especially in Chicago. 312-642-5600 to give us a call on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line. You can also text us at that same number. With respect to the officer that is in critical condition, a couple of people have posted about his condition, and I've been talking to some police, too, about it over the weekend. Both officers were shot in the head. The 20-year veteran of the police force who is in critical condition, one post, my sister works with the officer. She and her partner visited the second officer still fighting for his life last night in the hospital. This is over the weekend. She spoke with his girlfriend, and the bullet is lodged in his spine, and they were unable to remove it during surgery, but hopefully they will be able to in the near future. She said he was slightly talking and was able to hear and understand them. His girlfriend also told my sister that they will be putting him in an induced coma. He is, the officer who lost his life, as I said, was 37 or 38. I've seen both numbers. Survived by a wife and children aged 12 and 8, reportedly. Somebody else posted that District 17 officer, both these officers were District 17, visited the officer in ICU, said he's okay, machine breathing for him right now. When he wakes up, he appears to be responsive and knows there are people in the room. Again, he said the same thing. The bullet is lodged in near his spine, and when they decided safe to remove it, the doctors believe he may experience some paralysis, which I've heard as well. 312-642-5600 to give us a call or text. A little bit more on Bartholomew before we get to the particulars of the case. The Tribune had some good reporting on him because they talked to people who grew up with him in Morton Grove. Richard Hudock grew up on the same street in Morton Grove as the Bartholomew family, became lifelong friends with John, the deceased, and his brother Jim. The three boys spent their childhood playing video games together, and though they have grown and taken on a plethora of adult responsibilities, it's a hobby they have never given up, he said. Did Mr. Hudock. The last time Hudock spoke to Bartholomew was April 22nd, and they had planned a trip to Galloping Ghost Arcade in Brookfield for May. Hudock described Officer Bartholomew as extremely generous and having the highest morals, quote-unquote, of anyone he ever met. In fact, he recalled a difficult period in his life when he struggled with his mental health and finances, and he remembered a simple moment when he could not afford a $75 bowling ball for his bowling league, and Bartholomew gave him $100 to cover the cost. He just always found a way to lift my spirits. He was a major shoulder for me to lean on. I don't know if I would have made it through that terrible part of my life without him. And other neighbors, including those who live on the same block as Bartholomew in Edison Park, described him similarly. I know there's reports of people in the neighborhood tying blue ribbons on trees and railings. Mm-hmm. So to the case. Well, there's been some discrepancies in terms of how the assailant was able to obtain a gun and shoot the two officers at Swedish Hospital. He was arrested for theft that morning, as you've probably heard. And he claimed to be ill after being detained, being arrested. So CPD summoned an ambulance to take him to Swedish Covenant. The operator of Swedish Covenant, which is Endeavor, said on X the suspect was wanded with a metal detector upon arrival per the hospital's public safety weapon detection protocols, and he was escorted by law enforcement at all times. The shooting occurred nearly 2 hours after the officers and suspect arrived at the hospital, according to the reporting. And so it's a little unclear, frankly, and I'll wait till, we'll get clarity on this from CPD at some point, I'm sure. But it's a little unclear if there was a failure to properly pat the assailant here when he was initially arrested, or when he was again transported to Swedish Covenant, whether he was patted down by the officers, whether he was actually wanded, whether the wand was functioning. I talked to one Chicago police officer friend who said, a lot of times those wands aren't even charged, they're not working. So it could have been an equipment failure too. Don't know, supposition. One version of events is he had the gun. He either wasn't properly patted down or was somehow able to hide the gun when he was arrested for the armed robbery that morning of a dollar store in Albany Park. And that he may have stored the weapon in his backside. And if you saw pictures of this guy after he was arrested, when he fled naked in the neighborhood of Swedish Covenant after having shot the two officers in the head, there was plenty of flaps for him to hide a weapon. So anyway, the one possibility is that he had it in his backside, and before he got wanted or before he got patted down by the officers, knowing that the gun would be found, he opened fire. So what exactly happened from the time of arrest to the shooting of the two officers is unclear as far as I know. There's just been a lot of swirl around that. Text from 312, he was naked. Yeah, I know he was naked. I think I just explained how he could possibly still conceal a gun. And by the way, this is not a guy who was experiencing his first run-in with the law either, which we'll get to. Mayor Brandon Johnson said it's a real difficult moment for our city, and it's a travesty, because what else is he going to say? But, you know, just as the discussion we'll have about the White House Correspondents Association dinner necessarily includes a review of leftist-inspired political violence, this is leftist political violence too. Because this violence occurs and metastasizes thanks to the policy choices of the politicians in charge of Illinois and the judges who sit on the bench in Cook County. And we're going to get to both. We have to. Let me tell you, regardless of how he was able to do what he did, murder an officer and critically injure another one, let's talk about this guy. He is in his mid-20s, and he's got some 21 arrests for violent crimes and not much time in prison. Opportunity after opportunity. Does this sound familiar? Opportunity after opportunity to sideline this guy. In fact, he was wanted for skipping out on his electronic monitoring release at the time of this shooting this weekend, these shootings this weekend. The events, this is from CWB Chicago. Text from 209, was the shooter white or black? Black. The events leading up from CWB Chicago. The events leading up to Saturday's shooting follow a years-long trail through Cook County's court system. One marked by repeated arrests, judicial decisions that kept the man out of jail, and a complete failure to locate a known violent criminal who not only went missing from electronic monitoring, but failed to abide by his parole conditions. There was one on his record, as I posted on X over the weekend. I posted several times about this with the information I had. There was one discharge from IDOC, so one prison sentence. But as you'll hear, it was mainly turnstile justice for this repeat violent offender. The suspect first appeared in CWB Chicago's reporting in 2017 after he attacked and robbed two men in Boys Town and later robbed three more men at gunpoint on the Grand Red Line platform in River North. He received 4 concurrent 7-year sentences for those crimes. In 2021, 4 concurrent 7-year sentences, 2017, 2021, 4 years later, he was sentenced to 3 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm. He got out, was arrested again in 2023 for possessing a stolen vehicle and fleeing police, and while in jail, he got charged with battering correctional officers. Despite that record, Judge John Lyke, L-Y-K-E, agreed in August of 2024 to release him on ankle monitoring. Release him possessing a stolen vehicle, fleeing police, after sentenced to 4 concurrent 7-year sentences, after being sentenced to 3 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm, and then possessing a stolen vehicle, fleeing police, battering correctional officers. Yeah, you're not a public safety threat. We'll put you on ankle monitoring. That was happened in August 2024. He removed the monitor 3 months later and then stopped showing up for court 3 months after that. 2 months later, While a failure to appear warrant was out for his arrest, he and an accomplice carjacked a 25-year-old woman at gunpoint near the Calumet Green Line station. And then they robbed another man at gunpoint in Inglewood. He was arrested, caught, found, arrested. And listen to this, because he did the same thing that he did this weekend. He told officers he had swallowed bags of crack cocaine so police would take him to a hospital for treatment. He was detained, stayed in county jail until December of 2025. So August of 2024, he's arrested. 2 months later, fails to appear. And then he and an accomplice, about the same time, get back to their life of violent crime. Stayed in county jail for the better part of a year when Judge Like, again, agreed to put him on electronic monitoring. At that point, he had 4 felony cases pending when he was put back on electronic monitoring. 4 felony cases: armed vehicular hijacking with a firearm, armed robbery with a firearm, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, and aggravated battery of a peace officer. A month later, in January of this year, he pleaded guilty to the 2 oldest cases and received sentences of 4 years and 3 years from Judge Like to be served concurrently, with credit for time spent in jail on monitoring, plus the state standard 50% sentence reduction. He was able to report to Department of Corrections the next day and walk out before sundown. He didn't even serve a day after sentencing. He went home on electronic monitoring with the carjacking and robbery cases still pending. Sure, because he doesn't pose a public safety threat. On January 11th, the same judge gave him permission to leave his home to attend classes at Truman College in Uptown for between 5 and 11 hours each day, according to court records. Sure, because he was turning his life around. On January 28th this year, the same judge, Like, expanded that window to allow movement for between 7 and 16 and a half hours a day so the man could go to Truman College. Really hitting the books. On February 10th this year, prosecutors filed a petition to violate his pretrial release for reasons that are unclear. Again, this is CWB Chicago reporting. Then on March 11th, a month later, he did not show up for court. During the March 11th hearing, an officer from the court's pretrial services division told the judge, like, they received an alert. The man left home without permission. The man did not have permission to be outside his home during the hours which he left. A little less than an hour after he returned home, his monitoring device died because he had not charged it, according to the court officer. And then his whereabouts were unknown. Finally, the judge, Like, signed an arrest warrant. March 11th, which was still active on Saturday morning when he walked into the Family Dollar. He was also still in Albany Park. He and an accomplice, armed robbery, beat up the clerk. He was also still listed as an absconder by the Illinois Department of Corrections. Then he was arrested. Then he faked that he was ill. Then he was taken to Swedish Covenant. And then he murdered one Chicago police officer and critically injured another. The circle of life if you're a habitual violent offender in Chicago. Or at least the circle of criminal justice. More on this after we check the headlines. Take your calls, 312-642-5600, the alphawealthgroup.com answer line and text line. Now let's check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. A suspect is in custody after a shooting inside a Chicago hospital left one police officer dead and another critically injured Saturday morning. According to reports, that suspect was at the hospital in police custody for a separate matter when the shooting occurred. Authorities identified the fallen officer as 38-year-old John Bartholomew, a 10-year veteran of the Chicago PD. The officer who has survived that attack has been identified as a 57-year-old man who's been been with the department for more than 21 years. A career coach with the College of Lake County is accused of inappropriate activity with 2 female Wakanda high school students. Adam Faulkner is facing several felony charges, including grooming and indecent solicitation. Faulkner was also charged in 2023 in Kane County with solicitation of a child. However, he was found not guilty. The charges were then expunged from his record. A lawsuit also accused Faulkner of inappropriate conduct with a 17-year-old student at Hampshire High School in Hampshire. This report is a service of Allstate. Some people just know you can save money on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Those people are probably saving a carload of cash right now. So what are you waiting for? Check Allstate first for a quote today. You're in good hands with Allstate. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 Answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
You need a construction company, but who?
Call Crosscom.
A construction company you can trust that shares your Christian and conservative values. For decades, Crosscom has been doing work in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin. Roofs, siding, windows, doors, gutters, basically everything for your home or business, even solar. Quality work and professional services that make you feel great about your decision to work with Crosscom.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. Give them a chance to earn your business. If your repairs are due to storm, fire, or flood damage, you need to
call Crosscom.
They're licensed public adjusters. They work for you, not the insurance company. Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout. They know the insurance companies and how to deal with them. They win for you.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters.
This is Dan Lights with Crosscom. You can trust us with your home or business for high quality work and fair prices. It's the only way we do business.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
You need to be tuning into the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, the radio companion to the Amazon best-selling book, Success Blueprint, How to Build the Retirement You Deserve. Each week, Michael shares strategies designed to help reduce market risk through income-generating investments that can provide steady returns. Because if you can avoid a big loss, you don't need to take big risks. Catch the Retirement Success Blueprint with Michael Stewart, Saturday mornings at 10, right here on AM 560 The Answer.
Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Now, your official weather forecast.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late in the day. The sky will be covered with thick clouds and it will be breezy. Thunderstorms may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The temperature will reach a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We're talking about the murder of a Chicago police officer and the critical injuring of another Chicago police officer at Swedish Covenant Hospital over the weekend by a habitual violent offender. Another illustration of leftist violence, because this person was able to commit acts of violence after acts of violence after acts of violence thanks to leftist politicians, from the governor down to the Cook County judge that repeatedly released him on electronic monitoring. and frankly, under-sentenced him for the crimes he was convicted of committing. I want to see his transcript from Truman College of all the classes he was taking and how he did, since that was the predicate for providing pretrial release again and again, as we were just discussing. John Fitzgerald Lyke, or Likey, I don't know the pronunciation, Lyke. 94, graduate of Chicago-Kent Law School. And a profile piece on the good judge over at the Kent Law website. Respect and justice for all is the headline. The judge, talks about his humble beginning from the Robert Taylor housing projects to the Inglewood neighborhood. I saw a lot of, in my opinion at the time, maltreatment of African Americans, people who look like me, by the police. That motivated me to want to go to law school to defend those people who really couldn't defend themselves. Before joining the defense table, Lyke spent 6 years at the state's attorney's office, a move he says he never would have made if it weren't for the guidance of former Judge David Erickson, a senior instructor and the trial advocacy program director at Chicago-Kent College of Law. He told me I could help more people as a prosecutor than I ever could as a defense attorney. I told him to start explaining that to me, because sending more African Americans to jail, how is that helpful? But Erickson convinced Lyke that the prosecutor was the right path, saying to Erickson said to Lyke, according to Lyke, if you think a justice has been done, you have the power as a prosecutor to dismiss the case or reduce it down to where your version of justice may be had. Your version. As a defense attorney, you don't have that power at all. In fact, as a judge doesn't even have that power. The experience Lyke got as a state's attorney and as a defense lawyer, that's where he went after half a dozen years in the prosecutor's office apparently, helped shape him into a stronger judge. He recognizes the trauma that is carried into the courtroom on a daily basis and believes that society needs to better address it. At the same time, he says this in the same piece. This from the profile. He knows there aren't many judges who look like him. He's black. Well, I mean, the most recently retired chief judge was black. The political power structure of Chicago and Cook County is black. I mean, what? But, this just persists because it's convenient. How many judges who look like him, and that allows him to, quote, bring a different background, attitude, and life experience to the bench, unquote. This is important in many ways, but particularly in a changing society where he says that he has never seen the, quote, level of disrespect for the rule of law for law enforcement as rampant as it is now, quote, unquote. So, this guy is, judge is speaking out of both sides of his mouth, isn't he? He went on to say in this piece, our nation is at a crossroads. As I look at the news and the internet and I see all this violence just permeating across the country, you have to hold people accountable or they'll continue to do whatever they do. If there are no consequences to violence, if there are no consequences to breaking the law, there's no consequences to disrespecting the law and those who are in charge of enforcing the law, we as a country are in trouble. And in fact, violence has visited his family, unfortunately. In 2017, his son was struck by 3 stray bullets while attending a funeral for an old school friend. His son survived with only a limp and some scars as a reminder of a close call. The judge, Lyke, said, I wasn't angry at the person who shot my son. In fact, as a Christian, I love him too. Am I upset with him? Absolutely, I'm upset, but I don't hate him. I'm not angry at him, but I'm certain he has problems as well. That empathy is something he brings with him to every trial and shows every defendant. Well, Judge, do you think you're maybe erring a little bit too much on the side of empathy? Again and again and again with this cop killer. sentenced to 3 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm in 21. Got out. Arrested in 2023, possessing a stolen vehicle, fleeing police, and while in jail, got charged with battering correctional officers. Judge John Like agreed in August of 24 to release him on ankle monitoring. 2 months later, when he failed to appear and a warrant was put out for his arrest, he and an accomplice carjacked a 25-year-old woman at gunpoint, and they also robbed a man in Inglewood at gunpoint. Cops found him, arrested him. He said, I swallowed bags of crack cocaine. I need to be taken to the hospital. He was detained. Stayed in county jail until 2025, when Judge Like again agreed to place him on electronic monitoring, when he had 4 felony cases pending: armed vehicular hijacking with a firearm, armed robbery with a firearm, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, aggravated battery of a peace officer. He pleads guilty to the 2 oldest cases, the stolen car and the aggravated battery of a peace officer, received sentences 4 years and 3 years to be served concurrently from the same Judge Like. And because of the time he spent in custody pending trial and the adjudication of these cases, he didn't serve another day in prison. He was sent home on electronic monitoring with carjacking and robbery cases, armed robbery cases still pending. Then he gets permission from the same judge to leave home for 5 to 11 hours a day to go to Truman College. And that's expanded to between 7 and 16 and a half hours a day to go to Truman College. Then he disappears. Then an arrest warrant is issued for him. Then he and an accomplice rob a family dollar store in Albany Park on Saturday morning. He's caught. The accomplice isn't. He claims chest pains. He's taken to Swedish Covenant Hospital, and somehow, some way, he shoots 2 Chicago cops in the head, murdering one of them. I'd like somebody to ask Judge Like, or the new Chief Judge Beach, what you have to say about that. I'd like people to ask J.B. Pritzker and BLM Brandon and Slaughter, Justin Slaughter, the state legislator who sponsored the no cash bail, Pritzker Purge Law, Safety Act, what they think about this case, what they think about the judge's actions. Why isn't every politician in the state, in Cook County, in the city asked about this? How many more instances do you need before some people start asking tough questions of their elected representatives? I'm not just outsourcing it to a Chicago political press corps I know will not do its job. This is the same thing that happened with Bethany McGee. This is the same thing, basically, that happened with Sheridan Gorman's killer. It's the entire system. And everybody who has an authority role in it. Remember what J.B. Pritzker said about opponents of the Safety Act when he signed it?
Opponents of this law don't want any change, don't believe there is injustice in the system, and are preying upon fear of change to lie and fearmonger in defense of the status quo.
We're liars and fearmongers. Anybody who opposes no cash bail. Anybody who doesn't support case after case like the one I'm describing here with a cop killer now is a liar and a fearmonger. We don't care about injustice. They do. Clearly.
All Illinoisans will live in a safer and more just state with this law on the books.
Somebody want to ask John Bartholomew's family if they think that's correct? Is that their experience? Is it Sheridan Gorman's experience? Is it Bethany McGee's experience? And we could go on. Every day we could tell these stories. And we do a lot. Keith in Winfield.
Yeah, hi, Dan. Good morning. This is terrible. So how old did you say this guy was?
Mid-20s. He's 26, 27, 21 arrests.
So you're given history from, I think you said 2019, so he was 15 years old?
2017 is when he first appears on the radar.
2017?
Yeah.
So what was he, like 12? Or,
well, 2017 is 9 years
13?
ago. So he was, I don't know, he was 17,
11
18 years old. No. It's 17.
No.
So it's 9 years ago. So he's, he's like 17, 18 years old, maybe. Yeah. Nothing surprising about that.
So who pays for this guy to go to college? And does the system include like money? Do they pay him to go to college?
Thanks for the call. For all I know, he got like one of those state scholarships. I don't know. I mean, obviously these like JUCO, like Truman College, is open enrollment. I mean, if there's still a cost per credit hour, how he pays for it. Did he ever go? I have no idea. Somebody may want to ask the Judge Beach, again, chief judge of the. Hey, you want to talk to pretrial services? Oh, they're giving the judge and pretrial services giving all this latitude without any oversight. So what did he do? First of all, he should have never been out. I don't care if he was, studying nuclear physics, which I doubt. Turning his life around. Based on what he did, he should have never been released. He should have been on electronic monitoring. No, I know, but just like, everybody deserves a 22nd chance. Everybody deserves a 59th chance. And then when an officer is gunned down, or when a girl is lit on fire on the CTA, oops. That one didn't work out. Do we have any politician in the state who will react to this the way that Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry, who was an attorney general before he was governor of that state? Here, listen to Jeff Landry's reaction after that mall shooting in Baton Rouge last week, where a girl was killed and 5 others were injured. A girl killed and 5 injured in a mass shooting in a mall. That wouldn't even register comment in this state anymore.
In fact, people that go into common places and decide to engage in that kind of violence, we should put them away for life. I'm done with them. It doesn't matter how old they are. Somebody has failed. It's not the government's job to raise these people. It's common sense not to go into a public space with a gun and start shooting around blindly. We got 18,000 acres at Angola. If it's up to me, I'd send them all there for the rest of their lives.
Mark and Rochelle.
Yeah, and I hesitate to even bring this up, but I think some of these judges might even be afraid of their own system they've created, because the criminals might take it out on them if they come down and be harsh on them. But these judges know what they signed up for, and they've sworn to do this, and they're also restrained by this stupid laws as well. But when they're lenient, I wonder if they're worried that in this era, where you can find where anybody lives, really, by looking it up, that they're afraid that the criminals will take it out on them. And no excuse at all. I don't know. I throw my hands up. I worry for our future, and I'm afraid of criminals too now. The revolving door is I don't know what else to say. I'm frustrated. I'm looking for answers, but I ain't got them.
Thanks for the call, Mark. Yeah, I don't either. I mean, I know what the problems are, but how you address them, given this electorate in Illinois and Chicago, I don't know. But these judges, most of them, I would say, are ideologues. They're identitarian leftists. They're politicians in robes. They bought into all this. They bought into the Safety Act. They, just like you basically heard Like say, even though he's sort of conflicted, saying things that are at odds with one another. Yes, you got to balance, retribution with mercy, justice with mercy, so on and so forth. Well, you got the balance off, buddy. I appreciate a balancing test. I appreciate taking legitimate factors into consideration when meting out punishment, but you got it all wrong, pal. Just like Judges Arthur Hill and Teresa Molina Gonzalez and Ralph Metchik got it all wrong with that animal who lit Bethany McGee on fire. It's the same story. Somebody want to say what Jeff Landry said? It's not the government's job to raise these people, these kids. So you get somebody that starts behaving the way that this animal behaved in his teens and now into his 20s, he is gone. He's not coming out. Chris, Dan Ryan.
Yeah, quick question for you, Dan. Two questions real quick. So I don't know the whole thing about the Safety Act. I don't really care because it's a pile of crap legislation. But did the judge follow the Safety Act to the T? Because in the Safety Act, supposedly you have a provision in there where it's a violent crime with gun, you don't get to get out. And secondly, is there a way, to like go after this judge repercussion-wise, saying, hey, you made a bad decision and you no longer are on the bench anymore? I mean, how does this work?
Well, you could impeach him. Thanks for the call, Chris. You could have the chief judge have him up on disciplinary proceeding and remove him, attempt to. But that's not going to happen. Not only is his latitude goes both ways. His latitude goes the way of the decisions he made, as well as the decisions he could have made to detain him, to never allow him out on electronic monitoring. But how would you distinguish him from all these other judges, including the three I mentioned involved with Bethany McGee's attacker? I mean, you'd be removing a lot of Cook County judges, which I'm all for. But I mean, politically, is that real? Is it realistic? Is it feasible? As I said, with this electorate, coming up at 6:06, we'll turn our attention to the other incident of leftist-inspired political violence. And that, of course, is the shooting at the White House Correspondents Association dinner. Is that going to bring us together? Now we're going to learn that we don't resolve our political differences with violence. I'm supposed to believe that fairy tale this time? Is anybody else buying that rap? We'll take your calls on that topic as well. It's now 6 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He'll make his first appearance in federal court today. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Cole Allen, the suspected gunman in the attack at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night that left a Secret Service agent wounded, spared by a bulletproof vest.
We do expect at least 2 initial charges, 1 using a firearm during a crime of violence, and 2 assault on a federal officer with a dangerous weapon, with more expected to be on the way.
Fox's Todd Pyro.
He ran past a Secret Service checkpoint in the hotel lobby and was taken down unharmed. Investigators say he was armed with a shotgun, a handgun, and a number of knives, and that he was a guest at the Washington Hilton, which has played host to this dinner and several other high-level D.C. events for decades. Law enforcement sources now working to determine a motive, believing he set out to target the Trump administration.
They're also going over a manifesto Allen is said to have written and sent to family members. Despite what happened, Britain's King Charles still coming to the U.S., planning to arrive at the White House later today, with the Queen Camilla having tea with the President and First Lady. There is still a stalemate between the U.S. and Iran after talks fell through again over the weekend. Fox's Brian Yennis reports from Tel Aviv.
Iran's latest proposal to the U.S. demands that the U.S. essentially lift its blockade of ships to Iranian ports. In exchange, Iran will reopen the Strait of Hormuz to international shipping. Only then, Iran says, would it later negotiate with the U.S. about its nuclear program.
President Trump says the blockade will continue until there's a deal. The U.S. military's blown up yet another boat suspected to be smuggling drugs off the South American coast, and that was an attack that happened over on the weekend. There have been more than 50 boats attacked since this operation started in September, and in this latest attack, there were 3 alleged narco-terrorists killed. There have been more than 180 killed in the boat strikes. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560, The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. We're going to want to be weather aware today. We do have the possibility for some severe storms to hit the area this afternoon and into the evening. An alleged Chicago gang member is being held on a federal firearms charge after a U.S. District Court judge reversed a federal magistrate judge's order to release the suspect on bond. Prosecutors say 53-year-old Alexander Martinez Quiroz recorded himself firing shots from a handgun while he was standing in front of a Chicago building in December of last year. As a previously convicted felon, Martinez Quiroz was legally prohibited from possessing that firearm. A former Illinois State police officer has been sentenced to 2 years of probation and 30 hours of public service and ordered to pay more than $41,000 in restitution after he was convicted of loan fraud. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul says 52-year-old John Sievers of Chicago fraudulently received 2 loans through the Federal Paycheck Protection Program back in 2021. And Governor J.B. Pritzker says there is a need for speed when it comes to the Chicago Bears and mega projects legislation, which provides tax breaks for the team. Jim Talamonte has more.
The governor spoke at Northwestern University on Friday and was asked about the team wanting changes to House Bill 910. The mega projects bill is now in the Illinois Senate after clearing the House last week.
There is a need to, for speed here. We need to move somewhat expeditiously. I realize the Senate has some work to do.
The bill provides tax incentives for the Bears and other mega projects worth $100 million or more. When asked by a reporter if speed might come at the expense of taxpayers, Pritzker said the Bears have been talking to lawmakers for 2 years. Pritzker reiterated the number one question is what's best for taxpayers.
This report is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Hugh Hewitt defends the president.
And so all those presidents you mentioned, they all said Iran couldn't have a nuclear weapon. Well, now we've gone after their nuclear capacity once. They began to rebuild it again. We went after it a second time, and they closed the Strait of Hormuz. So they escalated. We have to control the ladder of escalation. I don't see an alternative. What was the president supposed to do? Let them rebuild it?
The Hugh Hewitt Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Alex Marlowe at 3 on AM 560. The Answer. Sign up for the AM 560 Answer Advantage to get early alerts on event ticket sales, special discounts, and contest opportunities. Sign up today at 560theanswer.com/advantage.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Advantage Gold, America's #1 precious metals company, is sounding the alarm that a storm is coming and that now is the time to diversify your portfolio before it's too late. That's why we're offering an emergency gold and silver protection kit valued at $49, absolutely free for anyone who calls today at 800-900-8000. This kit includes critical information for investors with a retirement account seeking to own physical gold and silver, but want to do it tax and penalty free. Advantage Gold has helped investors protect and secure their wealth with physical gold and silver since 2014. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000 and we'll rush your emergency gold and silver kit plus a free copy of Ken Rogoff's book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. See how gold and silver can help you protect and secure your wealth with the help of Advantage Gold. Results vary. Consult your tax advisor before investing. Call 800-900-8000. That's 800-900-8000.
Gain insight into building strong marriages and raising godly children with Focus on the Family with Jim Daly each weekday at 11:30 a.m. on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. The Dan Ryan has just reopened from an overnight closure inbound between 95th and 87th Street. So right now it's 20 minutes from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 10, but because of this closure, it is slammed on both the inbound Bishop Ford and I-57 as you head towards the Dan Ryan. We also have a big crash on the Stevenson inbound between Cicero Avenue and Ashland Avenue, taking down 2 left lanes already this time in the morning. It's a 1-hour delay from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 23, and then we're shut down due to a serious accident on the northwest side on Irving Park Road between Kimball Avenue and Kenzie Avenue. Just 15 minutes both ways on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose, 18 in, 25 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange, and 13 minutes both ways on the Ike from Wolf to the Old Post Office. This report is a service of the AM 560 Advantage. Membership has its privileges, including early access to event tickets, exclusive contest opportunities, and special member-only content. Join today at 560theanswer.com/join. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late in the day. The sky will be covered with thick clouds and it will be breezy. Thunderstorms may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The temperature will reach a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. The latest assassination attempt on President Trump and members of the Trump administration. The White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. You've all seen the videos, I'm sure, by now. Shots are fired. Secret Service, SWAT team, enter, tell everybody to get down, whisk J.D. Vance, President Trump away, other members of the cabinet that were in attendance. And thankfully, this individual, Caltech grad, who apparently traveled from California through Chicago to D.C. by train, was staying at the Washington Hilton in advance of Saturday evening's gala affair, had this plan to try to apparently kill Trump and as many people, Trump administration officials, people in attendance as he could. Left a manifesto. He bum rushes the area just outside the ballroom where the event is taking place and where there is an actual security checkpoint. Opens fire, 5 to 8 shots reportedly. Hits one Secret Service agent. Thankfully, he was wearing a bulletproof vest, and he is okay. He's taken down without incident, is in custody, will be arraigned today on multiple federal charges. Here's some first-person accounts from the journalists who were there, including outside of the ballroom when the shooting started. Oh, why don't we start with Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer went to the men's room, and he came out, and that's when the chaos was ensuing.
Very, very worrisome what happened. Just coincidentally, after they served the appetizers, I walked out to simply go to the men's room, but you have to walk up these stairs and walk out, and which I was doing. And as I was walking back towards the door to get back into the big area where the event was taking place, all of a sudden, I start hearing gunshots in the hall right near me. And the next thing I knew, a police officer threw me to the ground and was on top of me. And I was listening and watching what was going on. And apparently they got the gunman who had a major weapon there. But it was so worrisome. The noise was so loud in a small area. And all of a sudden I'm seeing gunshots. And then they grab me, the police officers, and they take me back into the men's room where it was safe. And there were about 15 other men who are stuck in there, and they won't let them out. And that's what happened. And then after a while, they let me out, and I'm out now. I'm not back in the ballroom, but everything is apparently closing down. A very scary incident. All of a sudden, a guy with a weapon, and it was a very, very serious weapon, he starts shooting, and I happened to have been a few feet away from him as he was shooting. And, of course, the first thing that went through my mind is he trying to shoot me. And I don't think he was trying to shoot me, but I was very close to him as the gunshots were fired. And it was very, very scary, but I'm okay now.
Of course, that was in the immediacy of what had happened on Saturday night. Benny Harmony, she is a reporter for Real America's Voice. This was her first-person account.
What can you tell us about what just happened?
Hey, guys. We were just eating dinner, and Secret Service and everyone started yelling. There were shots fired. We heard it. It was right there in the stairway, and we got under the tables, and they just were screaming at us. They pulled their guns out. The shooter is in custody, and no one was injured. They just rushed RFK out right in front of us. He was right in the elevator, right like 2 feet in front of me. It's chaos right now, but their secrets. Mike Johnson was ushered out. Everyone was ushered out. Everyone is okay as of now, what we know, and they're blocking us.
Well, Benny, I can tell you're shaken up just without even seeing your face. But you're telling me you actually heard shots ring out.
Yes, it was right close to us. Yes.
In the stairwell, which would be, if you're looking at the stage, were you on the left or right side?
Well, no, we were right outside the main ballroom, and it was right in the stairway next to us. They have us held over hiding in the side. I don't have any more details right now, but everything is okay. Secret Service told us everything's fine.
The president of the White House Correspondents Association is Weijia Jiang. She is CBS senior White House correspondent as well. She was on the dais with the president and the first lady. This is what she had to say, her first-person account.
Margaret, it all happened so fast. And when we were still on stage, we were in the middle of a very light moment with the entertainer who was doing a trick. And when I heard something in the audience, I thought it was a protester, something we're very used to. Mm-hmm. But then when I saw SWAT team members come to the head table and rush us to the ground and say, down, 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 we were crawling off the stage. And in the back, that is a holding area where people wait, including President Trump and distinguished guests, to go onto the stage. And we were sitting there, and I saw more than a dozen SWAT officers. Mm-hmm. There were members of the Secret Service milling about. There were members of the president's team. And as you can imagine, a lot of conflicting information because it had just unfolded. I will say it was remarkable to see that in action and to understand it was their quick work that protected all of us that night, not just the president, not just the cabinet, everybody in that hotel. And, you know, that is heartening, but obviously, it was a tough situation for everybody that was there, including you.
So that was on Sunday morning on Face the Nation with her gal pal, Margie Brennan. She was still, talking about Weijia Jiang. She was still shaken up, though.
I think we're all processing it. I have covered countless shootings and murders and terrible things in my career. And this is the first time that I've been on the other side of a potentially violent and deadly situation. And no amount of reporting can prepare you for that.
312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, answer line and text line. Call in and give us a text with your reactions. I mean, part of the question is going to be not necessarily the Secret Service's reaction in the moment, but the security planning for this event more generally. This has been an issue raised by a number of people who were there, including Bill Maloogian, Fox News reporter. He posted on X, the first exterior security for me was on the street outside the hotel. I flashed my ticket. It was waved through in 1 second. My name was not checked against any list. I showed no ID. I was not patted down. Did not go through a metal detector. I probably could have shown a ticket from a prior year or a fake one as they barely looked at it. From that point, I walked into the hotel with no further security check, and I walked down to the Fox pre-party where there were multiple ballrooms that were absolutely packed with attendees. Still did not go through any security at that point. Hypothetically, if I had hidden an explosive in my shoe or my jacket, I would have had no problem getting into one of those ballrooms. Only once it was time to get into the main ballroom for the dinner did we pass through magnetometers, empty our pockets, and get a pat-down. And even that checkpoint was just outside of the dinner room. Two things can be true at the same time. Secret Service reacted quickly to an active armed threat and prevented that threat from getting into the ballroom. But the security leading up to that point, in my opinion, appeared to be lacking severely. Susie Wiles, of course, President Trump's chief of staff, is reportedly going to have a confab with the head of Secret Service to discuss exactly this issue, I would suspect, not what Secret Service did in terms of reacting in the moment, but the planning that went into this and how do you not conceive of sort of layers of security when you have the president and 5 cabinet secretaries in attendance, given the climate in which we live, given the number of attempts that have been made on this president's life in particular. It seems like yet another, at least partial failure of Secret Service, the planning piece of it, not the bravery and the response in the moment. And President Trump was very complimentary of Secret Service in terms of how they reacted. But that's a different question. As Bill Maloogian said, two things can be true. Yes, they reacted professionally and heroically and did a great job in the moment, but that moment should have never been allowed to happen. President Trump had a post-shooting press conference relatively quickly after he was whisked away to provide calm. And frankly, I got to say, CBS senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang, she was pretty calm in the moment, too, when she initially got back up on stage and said the program would continue momentarily. And that was not really on her. The president was indicating he wanted the program to go on. He didn't want to get dissuaded, but ultimately and sensibly, I think, it was canceled at the behest of law enforcement, and the president has committed to rescheduling it within the next month. But he provided, a steady hand and calm and, frankly, good humor that I think helped to settle some nerves. So he once again rose to the occasion here, as he did after Butler. And this is in part what he had to say in that post-shooting presser.
And that was very unexpected, but incredibly acted upon by Secret Service and law enforcement. And this was an event dedicated to freedom of speech that was supposed to bring together members of both parties with members of the press. And in a certain way it did, because the fact that they just unified, I saw a room that was just totally unified. It was in one way a very beautiful thing to see. A man charged a security checkpoint armed with multiple weapons, and he was taken down by some very brave members of Secret Service, and they acted very quickly and have just released, for purposes of transparency, clarity, I've ordered it to be put out. You probably have it by now. Put out on Truth and put out on many of the platforms. A tape showing the violence of this thug that attacked our Constitution, and also showing how quickly Secret Service and law enforcement acted on our country's behalf. Really did a great job. One officer was shot, but saved by the fact that he was wearing obviously a very good bulletproof vest. He was shot from very close distance with a very powerful gun, and the vest did the job. I just spoke to the officer, and he's doing great. He's in great shape. He is has very high spirits, and we told him we love him and respect him.
Is that what you think happened or will happen from this point forward? A coming together? You know, this was supposed to be a coming together of the D.C. press corps and the Trump administration, sort of, I wouldn't say détente, but to have a more respectful and professional relationship. Is that what you think happened? That's what he said that, and then Wei Zhang said the same thing.
In the briefing just now, you heard him. He said, tonight was supposed to bring the White House and the press together, and in a way this has, because you realize the gravity, and you realize that, the one thing we have in common, the one thing is our duty to the American people. And at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Is that the thing that they have in common? The president and the administration and the D.C. press corps? Is that your feeling, that the duty to the American people is the thing they share? I'd like a little bit more definition to that. What exactly is the duty you're describing, so that we can assess how well you're performing said duty? Bobby, downtown, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Bobby. Hello, Bobby. Hey,
Hello?
Bobby. Yep, go ahead.
Hi, how you doing?
Good.
Not Bobby, but anyway, I'll make a statement.
Oh, okay.
Seems like everyone's missing this, right? Who created this? The left-wing media. Now, all of a sudden, they're afraid. Oh, it's not something. They created this, and everyone's, let's talk about that. Thank you very much.
Thanks for the call, Bobby. Or whatever your name was. I guess we got his name wrong. Yeah. Yeah. The boomerang. Boomerang's not supposed to hit them. And there was a lot of talk about that. But, I mean, it was very pro forma. Of course it was. What should we do about our political rhetoric? Oh, we have to tone it down. Or you just do what Jamie Raskin did when he was asked about it, so that she could check the box by Dana Bash on CNN, and you just lie. This rhetoric, everybody needs to tone down the rhetoric. Everybody needs to recognize that violence is never the way to settle our political differences. And say it with me, whether it's left, center, or right, because the incidence is the same. These are the false moral equivalences you're getting from leftists. We all came together, or are all together now around our shared duty to the American people. A lot of fairy tales being told in the wake of Saturday night shooting. And how long did that shared duty go? That the era of good feelings between President Trump and the press corps? I mean, I think he had barely gotten it out of his tux. And he sat down for an interview for 60 Minutes with Norah O'Donnell. And what was he treated to? A recitation of the charges leveled against him in the manifesto left behind by the shooter.
The so-called manifesto is a stunning thing to read, Mr. President. He appears to reference a motive in it. He writes this, quote, administration officials, they are targets. And he also wrote this, I am no longer willing to permit a pedophile, rapist, and traitor to coat my hands with his crimes. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I was waiting for you to read that because I knew you would, because you're horrible people, horrible people. Yeah, he did write that. I'm not a rapist. I didn't rape anybody.
Do you think he was referring to you?
Excuse me. I'm not a pedophile. You read that crap from some sick person. I got associated with all stuff that has nothing to do with me. I was totally exonerated. Your friends on the other side of the plate are the ones that were involved with, let's say, Epstein or other things. But I said to myself, I'll do this interview and they'll probably, I read the manifesto, he's a sick person, but you should be ashamed of yourself reading that because I'm not any of those things.
Mr. President,
and I
these
was
are
never,
the gunman's words.
Excuse me. You shouldn't be reading that on 60 Minutes. You're a disgrace. But go ahead, let's finish the interview.
The other thing that he wrote in
You're disgraceful.
Everybody's doing their duty. Norah O'Donnell's doing her duty for the American people. Did you hear the part where she reads that passage from the shooter's manifesto? And she's like, oh, you thought he was referring to you? No, golly gee, Norah, he's saying the same things about me that AOC says, that you and your friends say as a matter of routine on a weekly, if not daily basis. Of course, all evidence points to his antipathy towards Trump, and this was known very quickly. But Norah O'Donnell, I was just reading this. Who could he be? What is he referring to? Right, no idea that it would be associated with you. That's the D.C. press corps doing its duty for the American people, acting as conduits for accurate information and the truth. Is that what Norah O'Donnell was doing? Yeah. Being champions of fair play. They did that about as successfully. Norah O'Donnell did that about as successfully as she and her gal pal, Margie Brennan, did when they moderated the VP debate in 24. Sorry, I'm not buying the fairy tales. Tina and Joliet.
Hi, Dan. So I was fortunate enough to go to the RNC on the last day when all the big shots were there. So Trump and his entire family, J.D. Vance, it was, spectacular. But I've had better security when I go to a Bears game. All they did was check my purse. And I was wearing somebody else's badge because they couldn't be there. So I was able to go as an alternate delegate and sit, in the stage area wearing the badge with a man's name on it. Never questioned, never identified, never. I was there, I was stunned at the lack of security. And remember, that was days after the Butler shooting. And it was startling to me how lax the security was. So this doesn't shock me.
Thanks for the call. No, in the Butler, obviously the elevated position, the roof. Trump mentioned that in the post-shooting press conference. In West Palm at Trump International Golf Course, I told you, I played that course 5-6 weeks ago, so I got even a better appreciation for it. How they didn't sweep the perimeter of that course to see that guy lying in wait on the fifth hole, where you just have basically a row of trees and then the street is adjacent. So there's like complete public access to it if you wanted to just, duck into the bushes and hide there. And it's a thin line of bushes between the sidewalk and the course. And now this, in terms of the lack, as Bill Malugin was describing, the lack of layers of security to enter. Scott, Frankfurt.
Yeah, Dan, you know what? You actually covered both things I wanted to talk about. I was appalled last night when I was watching 60 Minutes. I actually laughed at how quick Trump flipped the switch in reaction to her reading the manifesto. But I was wondering if you had any faith in the press corps, how they're gonna see the light this time and stop their rhetoric with the Hitler and the threat to the country that Trump poses.
No chance. Thanks for the call, Scott. No chance. They're in the business of acquiring political power by facilitating their fellow travelers into majorities, into high office. I mean, they're politicians just like the people they flack for. So they have to give, that they have to pantomime being members of a press corps, being interested in the truth, being appalled at violence as the means to political ends and it being justified. And we'll get to this after the headlines, and the hand wringing by people like Van Jones. Oh gosh, I hope this doesn't result in cheerleading for the assassination culture like we saw after the United Healthcare CEO was assassinated. Golly gee, I hope it doesn't, because I'm opposed to that. We need to call it out right away. How much time has Van Jones spent calling out Hassan Piker, for example? This is performative for a very short period of time, and they can pivot right back to behaving the way they've always behaved. Remember what their motivation is. It's not fair play. It's not some professional ethic or moral code. It's the pursuit of political power. All right, take more of your calls after we check the headlines, which we'll do now.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. It is another day to be weather aware. We do have the possibility of severe storms late this afternoon and into the evening hours. One man is dead following a shooting on Chicago's west side. Police say the victim was walking yesterday morning in the 2700 block of West Thomas Street when he was shot by someone in a passing silver vehicle. The victim was pronounced dead at the hospital. An investigation is underway. A house fire in the Inglewood neighborhood has left a home badly damaged, but there was some good news as fire officials working the blaze were able to rescue the family's cat. Officials say that fire heavily damaged the top floor of the home on South Princeton Avenue, but there were no injuries reported to people or felines. And 2 people are dead following a shooting in the West Pullman area. Police say the 2 men were found shot inside a car after it crashed into a tree. Investigators say they don't know the circumstances of the shooting at this time. News is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Donley Auctions. Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Penny Mustard presents single-seat mini sofas.
Those are not single-seat sofas.
They're plush. They have fabric, and you sit on them. So what are they?
Penny Mustard's new line of upholstered dining chairs.
Aren't they gorgeous?
These unique chairs take your dining experience to a whole new level.
The finest dining chairs masquerading as single-seat mini sofas you'll ever see.
The new upholstered dining chair collection, starting at $916 at Penny Mustard.
6 Chicagoland showrooms.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Each morning, the newsmakers and the newsbreakers shaping today's conversation are heard on the AlphaWealthGroup.com answer line on Chicago's Morning Answer. When you need answers about what's happening in your world, you turn to AM 560 The Answer. And when you need answers about how to prepare for and protect your retirement, you turn to the Alpha Wealth Group, now the proud sponsor of the AM 560 answer line, right here on Chicago's source for news, opinion, and insight. AM 560 The Answer.
On Salem News Channel, principled voices are shaping today's conversation. Scott Jennings brings clarity to the toughest debates. Josh Hammer's blistering commentary puts politics and culture on trial. And Alex Marlowe's insight connects us to what matters most. Watch anytime on Samsung TV Plus, Pluto TV, or find us on your screen at snc.tv. 3 new shows, 1 powerful lineup. Salem News Channel, across America.
Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. 14 minutes both ways on the Edens this morning from Lake Cook to Montrose. 20 in on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 30, very slow into Manheim Road. You've got 18 in and 20 out on the Ike from Wolf to the old post office. And outbound is just stop and go between Manheim Road and Wolf Road because of an accident at Wolf Road. You're also stop and go on the Stevenson inbound between Central Avenue and Pulaski Road, but the earlier crash has been cleared at Pulaski Road. So 36 in now from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 21. 15 in, 10 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to Burn Interchange, and still solid on both the Bishop Ford and I-57 as you head towards the Dan Ryan. This report is a service of Discover. When you hear a good idea, it's natural to do a double take. That's what you might do when you hear Discover will automatically double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with cashback match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late. The sky will be filled with thick clouds and it will be breezy. These thunderstorms have the potential to bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The high temperature will reach 69 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. I don't want to spend too much time on the White House Correspondents Association dinner shooters so-called manifesto, other than calling himself the friendly federal assassin. He also made mention that he was surprised how lax the security was, how how little scrutiny he had to worry about prior to getting to the point where he tried to, as I said, bum rush Secret Service by shooting his way through the magnetometer and get into the ballroom, which thankfully didn't happen. One thing he posted, though, rebuttals to objections. Objection 1, as a Christian, you should turn the other cheek. Rebuttal, turning the other cheek is for when you yourself are oppressed. I'm not the person raped in a detention camp. I'm not the fisherman executed without trial. I'm not the school kid blown up or child starved or a teenage girl abused by the many criminals in this administration. There's the rationalization for the rhetoric as well as the conduct. And so you can understand why Van Jones is worried, quote unquote.
I thought the president did well. I'm starting to worry about something, though, which is that the shooter survived, which means on Monday he's going to court, which means there is a danger that people try to make him some sort of hero. You watch what happened with Luigi, who shot a CEO to death and somehow became a hero. So they said tonight you saw the worst of America, you saw the best of America. Tonight you definitely saw the best of America. I hope on Monday we don't see the worst again. I just want to say very clearly, this kind of despicable behavior has no place in America. It has no place on the right. It has no place on the left. We don't know if he was there because he wanted to hurt Democrats or Republicans. Both were there. We don't know if he wanted to hurt journalists or politicians. Both were there. Right. This kind of behavior has no place in America. And it's wrong. Violence is not the way to resolve any grievances. And this cheerleader culture for violence, for people who think that the answer to our problems is to go shooting billionaires or going to synagogues or all these different things, has to be called out immediately. The minute it starts, every single person with a platform must denounce it, or we're going to see this again.
You buy that? 312-642-5600 is the alphawealthgroup.com call and text line. I mean, even if Van Jones was sincere, and it's hard to take him at face value because he's very spotty with abiding the standard he just set for everyone, ostensibly including himself. I mentioned Hassan Piker. Did you hear Hassan Piker roundly being called out anytime over the last couple of years for all the things that he has said? The most popular, certainly the most popular streamer on the left, maybe overall in the country. High profile events. He's flying over to Cuba with Code Pink. He's sitting around with Taylor Lorenz talking about memes associated, online memes associated with people suggesting somebody needs to assassinate the president.
I'm sick and tired of it. Left-wingers, liberals, you need to be f***ing showing your opponent's guts on there, okay? You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these and letting their intestines just ride on stage.
Shanking them and letting their intestines ride on stage. I'm sure he meant that just as a metaphor.
Murder those in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist bloods, dude.
I'm sure he meant that metaphorically, letting the streets soak in their red capitalist blood.
If you cared about Medicare fraud or Medicaid fraud, you would kill Rick Scott. Kill Rick Scott.
I'm sure he meant that metaphorically, to kill Rick Scott.
On X, TikTok, Instagram, and in comment sections all over, people are begging, pleading for someone out there to just do it. In these pleas, the subject is never stated, the action is never spelled out, but somehow we all know exactly what's being said. But in case you are somehow still in the dark, these memes are about unaliving Trump. And
These memes are about unaliving Trump, she reports giddily. And then she hangs out with Hassan Piker to talk more about it, at which point he offers.
And you actually wrote about this, and it was a great video where you talked about, someone has to do it. See, when I say that, everyone knows exactly what I mean. Which is, I think that shows that there's a lot of anger, a lot of resentment, and untapped potential, untapped revolutionary potential, as a matter of fact. And it's a great opportunity for organizing, I think.
Thank you for using the word revolutionary to confirm, again, what I say to be true. Right, these are neo-Marxist revolutionaries. They want to violently overthrow the federal government, to reorder America, the proletariat revolution of some sort with an identitarian tinge to it. It's a great circulating memes and getting people calling for the assassination of the President of the United States is a great way to recruit revolutionaries. Mm-hmm. Jamie Raskin, asked by Dana Bash about his rhetoric. Of course, he doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah, and you have, as many of your fellow Democrats, have used some heated rhetoric against the president. And do you think twice about that when something like this happens?
What rhetoric do you have in mind?
Just talking about some of the fact that he, is terrible for this country and so on and so forth. I understand that that's your Democratic right, but overall, do you
I
have
no
a responsibility?
Personal problem with Donald Trump at all. I mean, I talk about the policies of this administration, the authoritarianism like we saw on display in Minneapolis, where 2 of our citizens were gunned down in the streets simply for exercising their First Amendment rights. Renee Good,
Is that what happened?
And others have, died in custody. I'm talking about policies. I don't personalize it, and I certainly have never called the press the enemy of the people. I think the press are the people's best friend, and that's why it's written right there into the First Amendment. We need the press to be a vigilant watchdog against every level of government, federal, state, local, all of them.
Oh, yeah, right. The great protector of the First Amendment. These are the same people, as I said before, who call speech they don't like violence, who call silence violence, who call the enforcement of the law violence, to use as a cover, to use nonviolent disagreement of the kind that Jamie Raskin purports to practice, to use nonviolent disagreement as a cover and rationalization for violence in furtherance of your political beliefs, or the willful blindness, the platforming of it, which Jamie Raskin does routinely. He never makes it. It's not personal with Jamie Raskin. It's always policy. It's not demagoguery. He's not demonizing people or groups of people. Right. Here was Jamie Raskin in August of 2024, in advance of the 2024 election, talking about how Congress was going to need to disqualify Trump from serving if he won the 2024 election because the Supreme Court wouldn't intervene. And listen to his characterizations of Trump voters and the climate.
What can be put into the Constitution can slip away from you very quickly. And the greatest example going on right now before our very eyes is Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, which they're just disappearing with a magic wand, as if it doesn't exist, even though it could not be clearer what it's stating. And so, they want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified. And then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions, all because the 9 justices, not all of them, but these justices who have not many cases to look at every year, not that much work to do, a huge staff, great protection, simply do not want to do their job.
Yeah, great protection, except when leftist assassins are set about to go after them, like they did Kavanaugh, for example, right, Jamie? That was accepted without... and by the way, Raskin's previous comment, response to Dana Bash, that was just accepted without any pushback. Of course it was. Rampaging Trump mobs. Is that a policy disagreement, Jamie?
Now we fight in our time to defend our freedom and our democracy against the banana Republicans who have converted Lincoln's party into a dangerous cult of personality.
Mm-hmm. All substantive policy disagreements. That's what Jamie Raskin has. That's it. Responsible, restrained, tempered individual. That Stephen Van Zandt impersonator, on again, off again. How about this supercut from leftists during the Trump era?
I just don't even know why there aren't uprisings all over the country, and maybe there will be.
People need to start taking to the streets. This is a dictator.
You know, there needs to be unrest in the streets for as long as there's unrest in our lives.
Enemies of the state.
Show me where it says that protests are supposed to be polite and peaceful.
Do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless.
When they go low, we kick them.
How do you resist the temptation to run up and wring her neck?
The biggest terror threat in this country is white men, most of them radicalized up to the right.
I thought he should have punched him in the face. I said, even if you lost, he insulted your wife.
Yes.
He came down the escalator and called Mexicans rapists and murderers. He said, well, what do you think I should have done? I said, I think you should have punched him in the face and then gotten out of the race. You would have been a hero.
I'd like to punch him in the face. I said if we're
Substantive policy disagreements. 312-642-5600, alphawealthgroup.com, answer line. Give us a call or text. Jimmy Kimmel, prior to the shooting on Saturday night, on his insufferable show, he did a mock White House Correspondents Association dinner where he offered what he thought were funnies, addressing different people he put up on screen. Here was his quip when addressing Melania in absentia in his little parody skit he did for his show.
Our First Lady Melania is here. Look at Melania, so beautiful. Mrs. Trump, you have a glow like an expectant widow.
I know, just people exercising their First Amendment rights, and so it's fine, because as long as you're just exercising your First Amendment rights within the bounds of the law, then you don't have to, no judgment in terms of content is appropriate. So, this is also just people expressing their First Amendment rights. Minocqua Brewing Company in Wisconsin, I understand most of their business is actually in California. They posted this on Facebook and then apparently took it down because I was looking for the link. Thankfully, we have some people grab the screenshot. Well, we almost got hashtag Free Beer Day. Either a brother or sister in the resistance needs to work on their marksmanship, or he faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. We'll never know. Regardless, we stand at the ready to pour free beer the day it happens. Clearly talking about Trump being assassinated. Faked another assassination to get a positive news cycle. Right. The black helicopters on the left. Minocqua Brewing Company, Wisconsin. Interesting. So, again, that Saturday night represented the best of America and a coming together. That's a tough one for me to go along with. Is it Rocio in Wakanda?
Yes. Hi, my name is Rocio Cleveland in Wakanda. I ran in the 9th Congressional District this past election.
Okay.
Hi there. So I'm calling because I totally agree. I believe what happened to President Trump was a tragedy, and it's happening here in Illinois too. But I think a lot of people are not aware of the situation of individuals who are running in any political position. Like, example for myself, I had Val Ojeda threatened to behead me. And then we have Terry Newsom, which, by the way, they're both Democrat plants. And Terry Newsom is a government informant who according to him, he is part of the Latin Kings when he was in jail. He was arrested for having cocaine, and he's a really bad person. And so this is the thing. here in Illinois, there is no Republican Party. It's a uni party. That's what people need to understand. And so when you have true conservatives like myself that are running, these people go after you and attack you, even people who say they're conservatives and they're really not. And clearly, I went to court, and because the Lake County court system is so woke, they're like, oh, well, you're a public official. You know, people are allowed to take shots at you. And I think we need to create laws that protect politicians from these stalkers and people slandering us and threatening us with our lives and our families.
Thanks for the call, Rocio. Well, there are laws. There are laws. But the problem is a cultural one. I mean, just a reminder, this survey from the first 100 days of the Trump administration last year. Remember the question as to the justification for murder for Elon Musk and Donald Trump at the height of Doge? This was still when these leftists were expressing their righteous indignation in substantive policy disagreement by vandalizing Teslas and firebombing Tesla dealerships. You know, mostly peaceful. There is a justification for the murder of Elon Musk. 48.6% of those who identified as left of center said yes. Justification for the murder of Donald Trump, 55.2% of those left of center said yes. Percent of people said destroying Tesla dealerships is partially acceptable. 57.6% of those who self-identify as left of center said yes. Mark in Liberty Hill, Texas.
Hey, morning, Dan. Love your show. Love your show. My question is, I told your call screener that it just the timing of this could not have been better because you're obviously familiar with Tom Hartman. Okay? Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, it's like you got it. Your ears will hurt after listening to him. But I put him on for about maybe 10 minutes, and Dan, within that 10-minute period, he called Trump a fascist 3 different times. Okay, so I called into a show, and I just said, Tom, what you're saying is completely disingenuous because my point, Dan, was, you know what? If Trump is such a fascist, why every other weekend are there protests all around the country? You know, with families, with signs, with some of the most caustic things. And Dan, my question, and then he hung up on me because then he started calling my family a fascist. You're raising a little fascist.
Of course. You're a fascist. And everybody's a fascist. Right.
It was just so, it was gross is really what it was. And I actually told my wife, I called her at work and I said, well, hon, I'm 4 for 4. Tom Hartman hung up on me 4 times over the course of several years. And I only called into somebody like him when I really know that I've got something, because otherwise he'll spit it off into a direction that, you know, I'm not completely privy, and then I'm the one who looks bad.
Yeah, Mark, I'm sorry. I'm sorry we can't get to your question, but I'm up against the clock. Sorry. Coming up at 7:07, we'll turn our attention to Iran, and Trump says, call me maybe. It's now 7 o'clock on AM 560 WIND.
He wrote a lot. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. The suspected gunman who tried to get into the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night, Cole Allen, wrote a manifesto he sent to family members just before, and Fox's Todd Pyro reports.
He also allegedly shared a number of anti-Trump and anti-Christian posts on social media, with the New York Post reporting that those posts got more aggressive when U.S. support for Ukraine waned. And we're also learning that after the shooting, family members of the suspect allegedly told authorities that he frequently made political statements and said he, quote, planned to do something.
President Trump was at that dinner and tells CBS 60 Minutes.
I wasn't worried. I understand life. We live in a crazy world.
Allen's due in federal court today to face 2 initial assault and firearms charges. A Secret Service officer who was shot's been released from a hospital saved by a bulletproof vest. After all that drama Saturday night, there were some second thoughts about whether King Charles should come to the U.S. They've decided to keep the plan, so the King and Queen will arrive today and have tea at the White House with the President and First Lady.
It also comes amid tension between President Trump and UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. The president has criticized the British British leader's decision not to join military operations against Iran and has threatened the UK with fresh tariffs. In addition to a lavish state dinner here at the White House, the king will also deliver an address to Congress.
That's Fox's Jared Halpern. That address will be tomorrow. Iran's foreign minister is in Russia, blaming the U.S. for another breakdown in negotiations.
Because of the excessive demands they made and the incorrect approaches they adopted.
Iran is offering to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to shipping if the U.S. stops blocking Iran's ports, which President Trump says he won't do until there's a nuclear deal. He tells Fox's Sunday Briefing.
We have all the cards. If they want to talk, they can come to us or they can call us.
America's listening to Fox News.
WIND, Chicago.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Chicago Alderman Raymond Lopez says the city is in for a very long, very brutal summer of teen takeovers and street takeovers if Mayor Brandon Johnson fails to get a grip on the street. Lopez was on Fox's The Ingraham Angle with Laura Ingraham and saying that things need to change.
It's not going to happen under this administration. And let's be clear, it's not just the businesses and the local economy that takes a hit, but it's also our image nationally.
A suspect is in custody after a shooting inside a Chicago hospital left one police officer dead and another critically injured Saturday morning. According to reports, the suspect was at the hospital in police custody for a separate matter when that shooting occurred. Authorities identified the fallen officer as 38-year-old John Bartholomew. He's a 10-year veteran with the Chicago PD. The officer who survived the attack has been identified as a 57-year-old man who'd been with the department for more than 21 years. And the Illinois Department of Human Services is seeking millions of extra dollars from state taxpayers due to federal policy changes. Jim Talamonte reports.
Illinois DHS Secretary Dulce Quintero said federal changes require additional state investments to address SNAP and Medicaid. State Rep Bill Hodder questioned Quintero when she said the department would need $40 million to hire 450 new caseworkers.
That's a huge number. And I'm astonished that we need 450 new employees.
Human Services Assistant Secretary of Programs John Schomburg said the caseworkers could save the state hundreds of millions of dollars.
By investing in these caseworkers, we are preserving services and access and keeping people on SNAP and Medicaid.
Schomburg said the savings could come in the form of both direct federal benefits and also in helping the state reduce its SNAP error rate. I'm Jim Talamonte.
This report is a service of Salem Surround, a local digital marketing agency providing high-performing digital solutions to surround your target audience. Go to surroundchicago.com today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobert's Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Firago, the immune enhancement cocktail.
Making the switch to a new communications and IT company may seem like a big ordeal, but if you're not getting the reliable support, consistent internet, and secure solutions your company needs, meet Access One, your local Chicagoland IT experts. Access One has been powering Chicago businesses with secure, reliable IT solutions for over 30 years from our headquarters right here in the West Loop. Whether it's VoIP phones, dedicated internet, managed cybersecurity, cloud backups, or 24/7 support, Access One is here for you. Serving thousands of companies from Naperville to the North Shore, Access One is Chicago-owned and Chicago-run, a trusted IT partner for law firms, clinics, tech startups to manufacturers. We'll make the switch easier than you think. Let's talk. Call 800-804-8333 or visit accessoneInc.com. Rated top 5% in customer satisfaction and a Better Business Bureau A+ rated business. That's accessoneInc.com. Tech made personal locally.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year.
I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Why would you take your precious metal collections to some fly-by-night roadshow that rolls into town once a year? The only thing you need to do is follow the road to Fox Valley Coins and show your gold or silver to the team. Gold is at an all-time historical high, so don't keep sitting on your coin hoards or old jewelry that you've been saving to sell when the time is right. The time is right now. Prices have never been better on most collector and gold coins. Fox Valley Coins in Naperville is trying to keep up with demand. So they're paying the most ever on not only most gold coins in bars, but also those old coin collections. You might have scarce dates or higher grade coins, so take advantage of the record high market price and the demand now. Whether you're buying or selling, or just want to find out values, trust the team at Fox Valley Coins. Fox Valley Coins is on Route 59, just one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Family-owned integrity since 1981.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. It's a flipped-over dump truck that is slowing you down on the Ike this morning. It's on the outbound side at Wolf Road. 2 left lanes are blocked, and it is just stop and go. So 38 minutes from the old post office to Wolf. Inbound is 33. You also have a crash on the Tri-State northbound just before North Avenue slowing you down. We're looking at about 16 minutes both ways on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. You got 30 in, 30 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. 37 minutes inbound on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. Outbound is 28, 21 in, 11 out on the Dan Ryan from 95th to the Burn Interchange, and still very slow on both the inbound side of the Bishop Ford and I-57 as you approach the Dan Ryan. News and Traffic is a service of American Beam and Steel, structural repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late. The sky will be filled with thick clouds and it will be breezy. These thunderstorms have the potential to bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The high temperature will reach 69 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. This hourly segment is brought to you by The Real Story with Jeannie Ives and Amy Jacobson. Heard weekday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So President Trump nixed a trip by his negotiators, that would be like Vance, Kushner, Witkoff, to jet out to Pakistan again for more talks with the Iranians. Not going to happen anymore. No need. They're not serious. We don't need to be flying all over the world for them to just stall and offer something in response that they know is insufficient. We got secure phone lines. Just call me maybe if you want to talk seriously.
On Iran, as you're figuring out who is in charge, if the hardliners or IRGC-aligned leaders have greater power in Iran, can the U.S. make a deal with those factors?
Whoever's running the show.
Are we communicating with those factors?
Deal with whoever runs the show. They don't know. They are fighting with each other. There's tremendous infighting. They're probably fighting for leadership. In many cases, I think they're fighting not to be the leader because we knocked out 2 levels of leaders. But I'll deal with whoever we have to. But there's no reason to wait 2 days, have people traveling for 16, 17 hours. And we're not doing it that way. We'll do it When they want, they can call me. We have all the cards. We've won everything. We have all the cards.
Yesterday you said to Reuters that we're dealing with who is in charge now. What changed from yesterday to today?
Nothing. It's just that they gave us a paper that should have been better. And interestingly, immediately when I canceled it, within 10 minutes we got a new paper that was much better.
What was on that paper, sir?
We talked about they will not have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple. Look, that whole deal is not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. It's very simple.
Well, it is complicated because they continue to say, like, for example, through their ambassador, Iran's ambassador to India, that we maintain and we demand the right to have a nuclear program for the purposes of energy, not for the purposes of nuclear weapons. But that's what they always say, and then they pursue the opposite. So that's a problem. David Brooks on PBS, Obama's favorite Republican, responding to Trump's relative lackadaisical attitude when it comes to any sense of urgency. You know, they can call me when they want. I'm in no rush. I'm not going to be rushed. I'm not going to be rushed to make a bad deal. David Brooks calls Trump taking his time craziness.
President Trump extended the ceasefire with Iran, but he also said he's in no rush and wants to take his time. Is that measured patience, or does it reflect the absence of a clear endgame?
Craziness. I mean, I thought he wanted an off-ramp, and he doesn't seem to be asking. He should be desperate for it. This is an issue that could destroy or severely damage the Trump administration the way Iran-Contra severely damaged the Reagan administration. Second, this is weirdly turning into the Suez crisis. In 1956, the British, it wasn't over the Straits of Hormuz, it was over the Suez Canal. They said, they're trying to block the canal, we won't let them. And then Dwight Eisenhower in the U.S. said, too bad, you're a weak power. You thought you were a superpower? Those days are over. And a lot of people around the world are saying to America, you think you're a superpower? You can't even open the Straits of Hormuz? Your days as superpower is over. So Donald Trump should be eager to get the hell out of this fight.
And just piggybacking off that, get a little bit more color from the internationalists, the institutional internationalists that dominate the swamp. Former Deputy Secretary of State under Obama and Biden, Wendy Sherman is her name. She was in the room helping to negotiate that nuclear weapon surrender deal that Obama pushed through. It included cash and prizes, you'll remember. This is superpower suicide.
As others have said, we are creating a situation which is really superpower suicide. We have effectively given Russia a way forward to get money for its war against Ukraine. We've put ourselves in a weaker position vis-a-vis the president's trip to China. And we've put our allies and partners, both in the Gulf and in Europe, in difficult positions because of the decisions we have made.
Mm-hmm. And, of course, this is on This Week with Clinton Foundation Donor Zero. So you can't have a foreign policy discussion without listening to the vaunted Richard Haass of the Council on Foreign Relations to get that institutional opinion. And he argues similarly that there should be a sense of urgency on behalf of President Trump because time is on the side of the Iranians.
I think it probably favors Iran a little bit more. We've seen their resilience, George. You know, they're under some pressure given how bad their economy is, but we feel the time pressure, what you just talked about, the energy, the fact that the strait is closed has growing effects, and so far we haven't seen them. Stock markets are relatively sanguine. Even energy prices, okay, gasoline's up $1. But the last tankers to have left the region have now arrived at their ports. That means now the supply shortages are going to kick in big time. And over the next few weeks, you could see gas go up another $1. The idea of $5 a gallon gasoline is not far-fetched. So I actually think we feel the pressure slightly more than Iran.
And how will historians treat this? Because Richard Haass has already helped them write the history. Don't wait for the outcome. before you start writing the history. You want to make sure that you define what this was, regardless of outcome.
And when historians write about this, they're going to say this was an ill-advised war of choice. Yes, Iran is conventionally weaker. Its military forces are somewhat weaker, but the cost, the economic cost, the cost to alliances, the cost to U.S. standing, American guarantees, the local partners in the Gulf, they've been hurt by this war. So I think history is going to properly be extremely critical about this war, about the assumptions we made going into it, that Iran couldn't stand up, that it wasn't going to attack its neighbors, it wasn't going to close the Strait of Hormuz. Every one of these assumptions has been proven wrong. So we're winning, if you will. It almost reminds me of Vietnam, George, the body counts. We're winning in terms of the narrow military calculation, but in the larger strategic sense, we're losing this war.
For more on this, Stephen Bucci joins us. He has served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top official. Now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, are they right? Trump is crazy to go at this leisurely pace, and we're losing the strategic imperative here, and history is going to look upon this war unfavorably.
Well, I'm not as presumptuous as Professor Haas there to try and decide what history is going to say. He's been wrong about almost all of his other predictions, so I don't know why we kind of listen to him now. But look, all I heard as I listened patiently to that set of clips was desperate, urgency. Gotta have something now. This is crazy not to make a deal. This is exactly the same imperative that got us the first Iran deal, when you had John Kerry practically, getting his own wallet out and handing it to the Iranians. Please make a deal with me. We have to have a deal. Oh, okay, we'll do whatever you want us to do. That is not the way you do negotiations. For God's sakes, it's really not the way you do it with the Iranians, because they'll eat that for lunch every day. You have to be tough with them. You have to take hard stands. You have to have a little intestinal fortitude. I'm thinking of other terms, too, to use, but they're not polite for the radio. You have to stand up to them. I guess they'd rather have an Iran with nuclear weapons than, have us have a couple of weeks of higher gas prices. I'm sorry, I don't think, $1 more per gallon is an existential threat to America or to the world. And that, clearly the stock market and even the oil industry are not quite as worried about this as the 3 people you had on the tape. So, no, they're wrong. This level of desperation is, what they're really desperate about is trying to make it look like Obama was smarter than Trump. And I'm sorry, he wasn't. John Kerry certainly wasn't. And we just need to allow the president to have the time to finish this. And what's really amazing is before, the same people were saying, he needs to negotiate. He needs to negotiate. So he's negotiating. Now they're mad because he's negotiating. But I guess to them, negotiation means capitulation, and he's not doing that. I'm sorry. I'm not a big capitulation guy with people like Iran.
Well, the other thing, too, is, this is seems to me, but correct me if I'm wrong, a canard that they sort of the internationalists, the Obama set there that still gets invited to shows like This Week, that they keep trying to push that, we've gamed out what would happen. We've gamed out the Strait of Hormuz. We gamed out whether Iran would attack its Gulf state neighbors. And so all the Trump administration's assumptions were wrong. Well, I'm sorry, did those assumptions were also gamed out, discussed, I assume, by the Trump administration, too, since we've been doing the Strait of Hormuz closure games, according to military brass that we've talked to, including yourself, for 4 decades. I assume, that institutional knowledge was conferred as all these other possible contingencies, including attacking the Gulf state neighbors. So the idea that Trump was just sort of blithely ignorant of all that has been gamed out before him seems to me totally implausible.
It is not just implausible, it's completely insane to even have the gall to say it. I'm sorry but the people in the Pentagon, both military and civilian, have a little more focus on this than politicians and legislators who have never done anything like that, have never even participated in war games about it, but they've got a better handle on it. And President Trump and all of his advisors are obviously morons. I'm sorry. They just need to back off and realize they don't know everything. Their decisions and the stuff they're advising him to do confirm that they don't know anything. And just sit down and realize they were wrong before and they're still wrong. Let the real adults try and handle this.
The other argument that's being made by this same circle, and there was a piece from also Obama, foreign policy flacks in Foreign Affairs too, is that somehow at this stage, both Russia and China are the real victors here, and this is why this is superpower suicide, as Wendy Sherman said. They keep saying it, but they haven't really provided an explanation. They're just stating it as a fact and then restating it as a fact in lieu of an argument. But I mean, do you have a sense of what exactly is the contention to suggest that Russia and China are beneficiaries to date?
I can't. I can tell you why they're not beneficiaries. I mean, China has lost its 2 biggest sources of oil with Venezuela and Iran. They have lost incredible amount of credibility in the Middle East region and other places because they can't do anything to help their former allies, or maybe they're still their allies, I don't know. Their equipment that they've given these people have proven itself to be completely helpless in the face of American military technology, though everybody before this was saying, we got to watch this Chinese stuff in particular. It's really good. It's going to put us in the ground. And the only thing that's in the ground right now is a lot of rubble. And the Russians, okay, I mean, to be honest with you, I didn't agree with opening up taking the sanctions off of Russia for a little while because everybody was so apoplectic about oil not getting around. But the Russians are so knocked down at this point that, we went from, look, Zelensky better make a deal or he's going to go down to, boy, Putin better be thinking about making a deal because the Russians are looking worse and worse every day. They're still fighting, but they're not winning, and they're fighting against Ukraine. They're not fighting against NATO, but they can't beat Ukraine. So, no, Russia is not winning, not the beneficiary of this. China is not the beneficiary of this. That is people who hate America and think that if they say that kind of stuff, it'll actually be true.
Do you think at this juncture, when we're at a impasse in terms of any more talks, unless Iran picks up the phone in the near term, that Trump should resume the bombing campaign to send the message that he has threatened to send?
I believe it is time. We've given them multiple shots at legitimate negotiations. They've blown it off, or they've done the typical Iranian, oh, no, we really just mean, for energy, not for weapons. But, we still need to have the enriched uranium because, we just want it. It's ludicrous. We need to take the hammer out again, hit them, and then stop and say, okay, can we talk now? And if they still say no, we need to hit them again. we need to remove the IRGC. That should be the focus of the targeting. The IRGC, and in particular their so-called Navy, which is, like Boston whalers and skiffs. But it's dangerous. They could hurt these oil tankers with that stuff. Those need to be removed. We should have a blanket of air cover, particularly A-10s and Apaches, flowing over there, and anything that has a little white water behind it coming out of their coastline ought to be sunk immediately. No questions, no warnings. If they come out on the water, they go down.
With respect to the IRGC, I go back to this conversation I had with Jonathan Tobin a couple of weeks back, and whether or not it would be judicious to use special forces to essentially seize the regional munitions outposts that the IRGC has, to deprive them of weapons, domestically, essentially, to help castrate them, if you will.
That's an option. They need to be looking at the kind of surgical strikes that kind of operation would entail, and then prioritize what elements of the IRGC need to go first, what capabilities need to be removed first, and then start working down that list. If they can take them out with air power, that's better because it puts less people at risk. At this point, we can do it with impunity. But if there are others that can only be taken out by some folks going in there and doing it face-to-face, that will send a message to them. Even if you only did a couple of them, would send a message to the IRGC that even the troop level members of that organization are potentially at risk, not just the leaders. And that will make a big difference in the climate there.
Stephen Bucci served America for 3 decades as an Army Special Forces officer and top Pentagon official, now a visiting fellow in the Heritage Foundation's Allison Center for Foreign Policy Studies. Stephen, thank you as always.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you next week.
Very good. And Stephen joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
It's like a hot, steaming cup of information to start your day. It's Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, this is Sean Thompson. Most of us spend our entire lives in the paycheck mode. You work, you get 30% taken from the G, you pay your bills, repeat and rinse. And that's how time goes by. Then all of a sudden you're old. Retirement hits. Suddenly, you're the one who has to figure out your paycheck that isn't there anymore. Markets are bumpy, prices are up, things can get stressful real fast. That's why having a real income plan matters. Tom Fortino and the team at Alpha Wealth Group can help you build a strategy to turn your hard-earned savings into a reliable retirement income. They coordinate with your Social Security and your tax planning, so you can stop wondering if you're withdrawing the right amount at the right time. Tom Fortino and the people of Alpha Wealth Group have been doing this for 30 years. They can help you by giving you a complimentary retirement roadmap. And all you have to do is call 630-864-6711. That's 630-864-6711, or online at alphawealthgroup.com.
Hi, I'm Ken Mariotti, owner of Woodland Windows and Doors, a third-generation family-owned business since 1969. We know you're bombarded by choices when shopping for new windows or doors, so we're inviting you to experience the Woodland difference. For decades, we have been transforming living spaces with Marvin Windows, a fifth-generation family business. Marvin replacement windows have been known to increase the warmth of your cold rooms by 10 degrees. Think about that, 10 degrees warmer. When you welcome Woodland into your home, you will get a product expert to transform your living spaces, full-time, dedicated professional installers that you can trust in your home, along with the best products like Marvin. These are the reasons we're proud of our 5-star reviews and family legacy. No gimmicks, no pressure, and upfront pricing are why Woodland Windows and Doors is your trusted window and door expert in Chicagoland. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your free in-home expert consultation. That's woodlandwindows.com, or stop by our showroom at the corner of Lake and Geary in Roselle.
Mike Lindell and the MyPillow employees want to thank you for your great support this past year. They want to make 2026 the best year ever. So to thank you, they are giving you free shipping on your entire order and wholesale pricing. So they are bringing back the mega sale. For example, the classic MyPillows, regularly $49.98, now only $14.98. Turn any mattress into the best mattress ever with the Made in the USA MyPillow My Mattress Topper and save up to $100. Get a set of MyPillow Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $29.98 or the 6-pack towel set for only $34.98. To get the best specials ever, go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY or call 800-489-0201 and use promo code LIBERTY. These offers won't last long, so call 800-489-0201 or go to MyPillow.com and use promo code LIBERTY. Order now and your entire order ships absolutely free.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-6745. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. There is zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have a 5-star rating on Google and Yelp and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-6745. That's 800-575-6745. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, we're going to return to the murder of the Chicago police officer and the critical injuring of another Chicago police officer by a habitual violent offender. Talk about the details of that case and the larger implications with Eugene Roy, retired former chief of detectives for the Chicago police. Eugene Roy at 7:37. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. We do need to be weather aware today as we have a chance for severe storms to roll through the area starting late this afternoon and into the evening hours. An alleged Chicago gang member is being held on a federal firearms charge after a U.S. District Court judge reversed a federal magistrate judge's order to release that suspect on bond. Prosecutors say Alexander Martinez Quiroz recorded himself firing shots from a handgun while standing in front of a Chicago building in December of last year. As a previously convicted felon, he was prohibited from possessing that firearm. It's Amnesty Week here in Chicago, which is good news if you have unpaid traffic tickets. All this week, collection fees on past due fines will be waived. Parking and red light tickets are not included in that Amnesty program. Deadline to get the fees paid with the Amnesty program is this Friday. This report is a service of Goldilocks, offering Chicagoland's state-of-the-art smart security systems to protect your home or business. AM 560 listeners receive 3 months of monitoring free with new installs. Get peace of mind by calling Goldilocks at 708-889-5600. Again, that's 708-889-5600. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560 The Answer.
Larry Elder is multi-talented.
In California, Orange County man has pled guilty to submitting nearly $270 million in bogus claims to Medi-Cal. Ain't no fraud like West Coast fraud, because West Coast fraud don't stop. Don't stop. You know, Mr. McConnell, maybe I should have gone on a career of rapping instead of talk radio. I have so much talent. I had more soul than I could control.
The Larry Elder Show, weeknights at 8, right before Sean Hannity at 10 on AM 560. The Answer.
If you're an experienced homeowner who's outlived your assets or your spouse recently passed away, you need to call Team Hochberg, your trusted local reverse mortgage lender. Alice, 90, widow, income $24,000 a year, living in a $500,000 home with no mortgage. Alice's husband recently passed away and she was terrified about losing her home, so her daughter called for information about a reverse mortgage. We helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage, which allowed her to access $300,000 tax-free dollars so she could afford in-home health care. Let's review. Alice's husband recently passed away. She outlived her assets and thought she had to sell her home. Our reverse mortgage expert, Jose Rodriguez, helped Alice secure a reverse mortgage so she could afford in-home health care and peacefully age in place. Team Hochberg's helped thousands of radio listeners, but we can't help if you don't call 855-563-2843 or visit that website you know and love, 56david.com. Atlantic Coast Mortgage, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 643114.
Are you prepared for the Illinois estate tax? If your estate is worth over $4 million, your heirs could face a tax bill of up to 16% when you pass. Financial advisor Scott Tucker and the team at Scott Tucker Solutions can show you ways to potentially reduce or even eliminate that burden. One strategy is to start gifting assets during your lifetime to lower the taxable value of your estate. Another option is setting up irrevocable trusts, which can shield wealth from estate taxes. Charitable donations and life insurance policies can also be smart tools to offset tax liabilities. Call Scott Tucker and the Scott Tucker Solutions team now, 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. That's 847-474-3888, or go to 560retirement.com. Investment advisory services made available through AE Wealth Management, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Firm may not give tax advice.
Your family and friends love you, but they hate seeing you in pain all the time, especially heading into vacation season. Allow me to recommend my friends at QC Kinetics. They will take care of your pain and let you go right on with your day. It's that easy. Listen, if you answer yes to more than one of these questions, then you're a great candidate. Do you have consistent joint pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, or back? Does pain rob you from a good night's sleep? Are you missing work or saying no to activities you love? Are you taking painkillers? If this is you, then today could be the day to turn that corner and get real relief. With 5 Chicagoland locations and weekend appointments, QC Kinetics treatments are easy, done in the office. Consultations are free. I've seen the results in person myself, and I personally recommend QC Kinetics. So don't wait. This will be the most meaningful thing you can do for yourself and those that love you. Call now 312-827-6261. That number, 312-827-6261. Once more, call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Epic parties start at Staples. Now you can grab Party City balloons, decorations, and tableware, plus matching custom invites, banners, and more right at Staples. That was easy.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Shut down on the Tri-State with police activity northbound between Halstead Street and 80, so this is really causing big delays on 8094. You are slammed from Torrance Avenue to the Tri-State, and then on the Ike, you've got 2 crashes. The first one is outbound. It's a flipped-over dump truck taking down 2 left lanes at Wolf Road, then another outbound crash at North Avenue off to the shoulder. So we're looking at just under an hour from the old post office to Wolf. Inbound is 30 minutes. You also have a crash on the Jane Addams westbound just after Genoa Road. 37 in, 40 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. 43 in, 32 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. This report is a service of Discover. When you hear a good idea, it's natural to do a double take. That's what you might do when you hear Discover will automatically double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late in the day. The sky will be covered with thick clouds and it will be breezy. Thunderstorms may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The temperature will reach a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here again. This was the call that went out from police dispatch on Saturday in response to 2 officers being shot.
Everybody go, just go. Just go, just go. I got shots fired, I got 310-1 sitting up here, everybody go. Swedish Hospital, 2739 Foster, go, just go.
Prisoner that shot the policeman,
Prisoner shot the policeman.
Prisoner shot the policeman. And this is the news that Chicago Police Superintendent Larry Snelling had to deliver later that day.
I'm sad to say that we've lost another officer in the line of duty and another officer who's been critically injured. At approximately 10:50 a.m., our officers transported an individual over to Swedish Covenant Hospital for an observation, at which time 2 of our officers were shot. One was shot critically and was pronounced. The second officer right now is fighting for his life in the hospital behind us. And we ask that you keep the families of these officers in your prayers. This is a lot to go through. These are the dangers of policing. This is a very, very and extremely dangerous profession. But our officers go out there every single day and they do this work knowing that when they go into these environments that they're not safe. But they accept that, and that's the work that they do. We have an individual who's in custody right now and a weapon recovered.
And there was a third weapon. So each police officer obviously had a weapon, and there was a third weapon recovered. And so one of the questions is, how exactly was this habitual violent offender able to get a weapon into the hospital? One of the questions. The officer who was killed in the line of duty is named John Bartholomew from Morton Grove, lives in Edison Park now. 10 years on the job, 38 years old. The officer who's gravely injured, 21 years on the job. And, I don't know. I've heard a lot, including from police officer friends, in terms of the extent of the injuries, and some people have posted about them too. But suffice it to say, he was shot in the head as well. The injuries are substantial. The last posting talked about a bullet that's still lodged in his neck that doctors were unable to immediately surgically remove, but that is something that is pending, that he recognizes and can hear people in the room, but he still is obviously in critical condition. And what do we know about this guy? Well, as we talked about in some detail at the outset of the show, he appears in the police blotter, if you will, or he gets the attention of Chicago police starting in 2017 after he attacked and robbed 2 men in Boys Town and later robbed 3 more men at gunpoint on the Red Line platform in River North. Got concurrent 7-year sentences for those crimes. 4 years later, he's sentenced to 3 years for being a felon in possession of a firearm. He gets out, arrested again 2 years later in 2023 for possessing a stolen vehicle and fleeing police. And while in jail, he got charged with battering correctional officers. And then comes the judge in the Safety Act era. Judge John Lyke, L-Y-K-E, agrees in August of 24 after that rundown to release him on ankle monitoring. 3 months later, he stopped showing up for court. 3 months after that, the judge removed the monitor 3 months later, and then he stopped showing up for court 3 months after that. 2 months later, while a failure to appear warrant was out for his arrest, he and an accomplice allegedly carjacked a 25-year-old woman at gunpoint near the Calumet Green Line station and then robbed another man at gunpoint in Inglewood. He did the same thing he did in this instance in this case after he was arrested. He complained that he was having chest pains, that he had swallowed bags of crack cocaine, so the police would take him to hospital for treatment. He was taken, he was detained. Stayed in county jail until December of 2025, when the same judge agreed to place him on electronic monitoring again. At this point, he had 4 felony cases pending: armed vehicular hijacking with a firearm, armed robbery with a firearm, possession of a stolen motor vehicle, aggravated battery of a peace officer. 1 month later, in January of this year, he pleads guilty to the 2 oldest cases, the stolen car and the aggravated battery of a peace officer. Receives sentences of 4 years and 3 years to be served concurrently. Same judge, with credit for time spent in jail and on monitoring, plus the state's standard 50% sentence reduction. He didn't spend another day in jail. He went home on electronic monitoring, even with a carjacking and robbery case pending, 2 cases. Then he gets permission to leave home while on electronic monitoring, to allegedly attend classes at Truman College. Then he doesn't show up for court. Then he gets arrested on Saturday after robbing a family dollar store in Olmley Park and beating up the clerk. Then he does the same thing, complains of chest pains. He's taken a Swedish Covenant. And then he murders a Chicago police officer and critically injures another one. For more on all this, please be joined again by Eugene Roy, retired Chicago Police Chief of Detectives. He's also an advocate for officer wellness, PTSD recovery, and suicide prevention. Gene, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
I'd like to say it's my pleasure to be here with you, but not on this occasion. But we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, no, I hear you. So what do we say about that criminal history over the last 9 years leading up to the fateful events of Saturday?
It once again shows the tragic consequences of the politically motivated, ill-advised, and just horrendous Safety Act, which has proved to be anything but providing safety for the decent, hardworking citizens of this state.
And, you know, on that score, I mean, we have so many cases like this, and now another police officer has been murdered, and another police officer has been gravely injured. What can the police do? You hear the same things I hear. You know, everybody should just not show up, and I know that's not going to happen, nor should it. But what can police do? What would you like to see from police in order to get something different from politicians, I guess?
You know, this is a bigger problem than just one for the police to attack. This is one where the entire citizenry has to stand up and make their voice heard. You know, the thing that's been neglected in this story is that this offender, this killer, had just been arrested for pistol whipping another woman in an armed robbery. Exceedingly violent. Now, let's take a look at the consequences. Let's talk about consequences. There's an anti-police sentiment here in Chicago and across the state of Illinois. Some good reasons, some bad reasons, mostly bad reasons. But whenever there's an incident of note, what happens? The police officers that are involved are benched. They're given a desk job, they're stripped of their position, and they're shuffling papers. The same thing should be happening with the judges who are just cranking these people out and just signing them out at will. Seriously, that's what needs to be done. Some police officer has been accused of pistol whipping or shoot somebody, they'd be benched. We should do the same with the judge. We have a big problem in Cook County with the judiciary escaping any sort of examination. You know, it's just terrible. You know, and the thing I want to point out is there used to be 2 electronic monitoring systems in Cook County. One was operated by the sheriff, and the other one was operated by the juvenile court system. What happened when heat started coming up on Tim Evans and the declining days of his regime, what was done was the sheriff's electronic monitoring program and the juvenile court electronic monitoring program were combined and were put under the chief judge. Why is that important? Because the chief judge's office is immune from any freedom of information inquiries that would ordinarily be going to the sheriff. So the media is cut off and the public is cut off from seeing the documents that show the true extent of this calamity.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Beach, the new chief judge, said when he first got in that he was going to be tackling this electronic monitoring program. He wanted the chief judge to get out of the business altogether and have it to be something that's state-run, it seems to me. But, it's one of those things that you say when the ABC 7 comes to do a profile piece on you, and then nobody ever follows up, and then things just sort of just mosey along like they have been because there's no impetus to make any sort of system changes that should be made.
There's a lot of pain. There's a lot of outrage in the community, not just the police community today, but across the city. And it's time for somebody. We need a leader to come to show up, connect people, build a team, and tackle this problem head on. How many more people are we have to lose, whether they're citizens, police officers, or just anybody? How many more do we have to lose? How many more lives and families have to be destroyed before the people say enough is enough? Repeal this insane law.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea, too, of, quote unquote, putting judges on desk duty who are involved in cases like this, especially with this guy's history with this assailant. And that puts pressure on the politicians, too. So I mean, it's a great. I mean, that's a great idea. That's actually very functional and doable, and it puts pressure on the chief judge to say, yeah, we are going to institute that protocol. So I mean, that's how this is. That's what you have to do. You have to get people to do things they don't otherwise want to do. That's unfortunately what we have to do in politics in the city and state. It seems
you have to know who to talk to and how to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
The media this morning, today, in the aftermath of this, they should not be talking. They don't need to talk to the state's attorney except to get details of the crimes. They need to be asking the hard questions of the chief judge.
The circumstances of this shooting. I mean, again, this is in no way trying to ascribe blame here. The blame is on the guy who opened fire and killed one police officer and severely wounded the other. But just trying to understand what happened. So if there was a mistake made in anywhere in the chain of custody of this animal, that people learn from it, I suppose. Because this is not the first time you've had a shooting occur by a prisoner at a hospital. Obviously, these are always dangerous situations. But do you have any insight into like he gets picked up for this this aggravated robbery of the Family Dollar store, and then and somehow he still has a gun on him, or he obtained a gun between that apprehension and being transported to Swedish Covenant? Do you have any insights there?
I really can't give you any more detailed insight than what you just related. And I think the most important thing here is this investigation is ongoing. It's far from over. There's a lot of questions to be asked on a lot of different fronts. And I don't want to get out ahead of it and say something that turns out to be wrong. You know, again, let's focus on the important things. That will take care of itself. And I'm sure we'll get a full disclosure from the superintendent in due time.
Yeah. No. Okay. That's fair. The morale. I mean, I know a lot of cops have a high regard for Superintendent Snelling, and I know he's in a difficult position with the political culture you just described. But where do you think Chicago police morale is? Where are they with recruitment? Even though there doesn't seem to be much desire to hire police officers by the politicos. What do you think the state of the department is? And obviously, whatever it is, it's going to be that much worse after this weekend.
You know, this is just another body blow that the police have taken. And this body blow is directly attributable to the radical progressive policies enacted by the state legislature. As far as the state of the Chicago Police Department, it's been in business for a couple hundred years. It'll continue to be in business. There's bad days and there's good days. There are good people working. Personally, I trust my life to the men and women of the CPD. There is a morale problem. I'm sure the superintendent will be working on it. We can also work on it by spreading the word, showing support for our officers, showing up. Just you see an officer and they're in Starbucks or somewhere, buy their coffee. Do something like that. Just say thank you. Hey, I'm sorry about your friend. What can we do to help? It's the little things like that. That's what happens. On the other hand, City Hall needs to wake up too. We've got 10,000 officers. Where only a few years ago we had 12,000 officers. Homicides may be down, but the level of violence, as we've just seen, is still outrageous. We need police on the streets doing what they need to do best. They need to have access to all the information systems, the computer-driven systems that we have, cameras, speed cameras, so forth. This is how you arrest people, you identify offenders, arrest people, and have a meaningful impact on crime.
Eugene Roy is a retired Chicago Police Chief of Detectives. He's an advocate for officer wellness, PTSD recovery, and suicide prevention as well. Gene, thank you as always. Appreciate it.
Good to be with you.
And Gene Roy joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com. And schedule your free in-home consultation today.
Your home or business has storm damage and you have an insurance claim.
Call Crosscom.
Crosscom Construction and Public Adjusters. Today, insurance companies are notorious for offering way too little money to repair damage to your home or commercial building due to wind, hail, tornado, floods, or fire. Crosscom works for you, not the insurance company. As licensed adjusters, Crosscom will work to get you the money you deserve, the maximum payout.
Call Crosscom.
630-871-5500. After they get you the fair insurance company result, Crosscom can start doing your repairs. Crosscom is a full construction and restoration company that will get your property back to its pre-loss condition, getting your life back to normal. Roof, siding, windows, doors, fire restoration, Crosscom does it all.
Call Crosscom.
Licensed in Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana, and Wisconsin.
This is Dan Leitz with Crosscom. We share your conservative and Christian values. Let us handle everything. It all starts with a call.
630-871-5500. CrosscomPublicAdjusters.com.
This is Albert Mohler for townhall.com. California is governed by people whose moral sanity must be questioned. Christopher Rufo of the City Journal recently published a piece with the headline, quote, California provides sex change procedures to homeless illegal aliens. The report looked like satire. Rufo and his co-author stated, quote, we discovered not only that the shelters were housing illegal immigrants, but also that they were apparently housing a population of male to female transgender illegal aliens who had hoped to obtain gender-affirming care. And to our shock, they wrote, state and local governments are providing it, as in paying for it. It's no accident that, quote, a group of Hondurans who identified as transgender, end quote, end up in the same San Francisco homeless facility. Clearly, the word's getting out. The main point in all of this is that the transgender ideology is marching onward unabated. It's yet another piece of evidence pointing to the great moral conflict of our age.
Don't miss In Grace with Pastor Jim Scudder Jr., now heard on Sunday mornings at 7:30. Tune in and find hope as Jim Scudder explores God's Word and His world each Sunday morning right here on AM 560, The Answer. AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:08, we'll talk to a Washington-based journalist covering U.S. foreign policy who was at the White House Correspondents' Dinner on Saturday night. Get his first-person account. That's at 8:08, bottom of the 8 o'clock hour. Retired Secret Service agent Mike Olson on security questions surrounding Saturday night's event. It is now 8 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He faces assault and firearms charges for now. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News, but more could be coming for Cole Allen, the suspected attacker at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night. He's doing federal court today.
America deserves answers. President Trump has committed to transparency and accountability.
And FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox investigators have a lot to look at.
To include emails, social media postings, witness interviews, interviews with people, family, friends, and neighbors, so we can provide a complete picture of this individual's mindset and intent.
The suspect had guns and knives trying to get into that dinner. President Trump was there and tells CBS 60 Minutes.
It was amazing because as soon as they saw that, you could see them draw their guns. They were so professional, aim their guns, and then they took them down immediately.
A Secret Service agent was shot, but his bulletproof vest saved him. He's been released from a hospital. Despite what happened Saturday night, Britain's King Charles will still come to the U.S. today, going to the White House at a time when U.S.-UK relations soured over Britain not participating in the Iran conflict.
President Trump even going so far as recently to call the Prime Minister of the UK a coward and no Churchill. But look, the King is not a member of the government. He's a representative of the British people. And this trip really is being seen in the UK as a reminder that the two countries are unified in deeper ways than politics. And the president's also saying in the last few days that this visit could even help repair the relationship.
That's Fox's Benjamin Hall in London. After U.S. and Iran talks broke down over the weekend again, Fox's Matt Finn reports from Dubai.
The United States blockade is entering its third week here in the Persian Gulf. It's aimed at draining Iran's economy. Well, now Iran is reportedly willing to relinquish its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, but it's not willing to meet U.S. demands on its nuclear program.
There's a hearing this hour at Virginia's Supreme Court considering a challenge to congressional redistricting voters approved last week that could let Democrats flip 4 House seats from Republicans in the November elections. America's listening to Fox News.
Good morning. It is 53 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. Governor J.B. Pritzker says there is need for speed when it comes to the Chicago Bears and mega projects legislation, which provides tax breaks for the team. Jim Talamonte reports.
The governor spoke at Northwestern University on Friday and was asked about the team wanting changes to House Bill 910. The mega projects bill is now in the Illinois Senate after clearing the House last week.
There is a need for speed here. We need to move somewhat expeditiously. I realize the Senate has some work to do.
The bill provides tax incentives for the Bears and other mega projects worth $100 million or more. When asked by a reporter if speed might come at the expense of taxpayers, Pritzker said the Bears have been talking to lawmakers for 2 years.
We're not talking about speed here, or it shouldn't be a discussion about speed.
Pritzker reiterated the number one question is what's best for taxpayers. I'm Jim Talamonte.
A suspect is in custody after a shooting inside a Chicago hospital left one police officer dead and another critically injured Saturday morning. Police say the suspect was at the hospital in custody for a separate matter when that shooting occurred. Authorities identified the falling officer as 38-year-old John Bartholomew. He was a 10-year veteran of the Chicago PD. The officer who survived the attack has been identified as a 57-year-old man who's been with the department for more than 21 years. The Chicago Federation of Musicians is presenting a free lunchtime performance by the Jazz for Chicago Big Band from noon to 1:30 today at the historic Gar Hall at the Chicago Cultural Center. The performance serves as the kickoff to a week-long celebration of UNESCO's World Jazz Day. News is a service of Woodland Windows and Doors in Roselle. Brighten your home and make the rooms in your house look better and bigger with larger windows or patio doors this spring. Visit woodlandwindows.com to book your consultation today. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes, but time now for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of Signature Bank.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby says he approached American Airlines about a merger. He says he was confident that it could receive approval from regulators. Kirby says American declined to engage and instead responded by publicly closing the door. Verizon says it continued to add subscribers with a monthly phone plan in recent months. It was the first full quarter under Chief Executive Dan Schulman, and earnings topped expectations. locations. Schulman says this is the first time since 2013 that Verizon added those subscribers at the start of the year, and Verizon shares are up 3.5%. Domino's Pizza shares are down 4.5% after reporting a mixed quarter. The NASDAQ and S&P closed at records on Friday. Stock futures are mixed this morning. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Jenny Coselda. Invested in you.
For over a decade, AM 560 has marked the start of summer with a night of cigar smoking and great conversation. And this year, we're proud to welcome the editor-in-chief of Breitbart News to Cigar Night. He's Alex Marlowe, and he'll join AM 560's Dan Proft and Sean Thompson on Tuesday, May 19th at Gobridge Farm in Pingree Grove for a night you won't forget. Tickets are on sale now at 560theanswer.com/cigar. That's 560theanswer.com/cigar. Sponsored by Liberty Cigar Company.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Give me an extra large deep dish pepperoni.
Hasselus doesn't sell pizza. We sell mattresses for way less.
Do I need a coupon?
No, sir. Others sell a Beauty Sleep by Beauty Rest Queen Elm Cove A mattress for $1,459. But Hasselus has it for just $794.
Running any specials?
Through Monday, save an additional $248 on a new Beauty Rest or Sealy Posturepedic just for shopping local.
Do you deliver?
Free next day delivery.
I'm really hungry.
Hasselus.com.
Did you know most remodeling mishaps start before construction even begins? Here's something else you should know. At Forever Remodeling, we do things differently. Every kitchen, bathroom, and basement project starts with smart planning, detailed 3D designs, a clear scope of work, and accurate pricing, all sorted out before you get started. No surprises, no stress, just beautiful results. Done right the first time. Visit foreverremodeling.com. That's the number 4, EVER, remodeling.com, and schedule your free in-home consultation today.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a crazy fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. Stop paying the big guys twice what you need to. Dial pound 250, say my name. That's pound 250 micro to switch to Pure Talk, where the savings are truly unlimited.
An official message from Medicare.
I turned 65 this year. I knew it was time to figure out Medicare, and I had questions, like when to enroll and how to enroll. So I went straight to the official source, Medicare.gov, to get the facts about Medicare. I found answers to all my questions, and I'm ready to get started. And so can you. Just go to Medicare.gov to get the real facts about Medicare.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Do you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS like Mark?
I've been doing home remodeling for 30 plus years, but the economy crashed. I wound up losing my home, losing my job, and on top of that, owing the IRS a ton of money. I owed the IRS $114,000. It really, truly was the worst part of my life.
Then Mark found tax relief advocates.
On news radio, I heard about TRA, and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? So I picked up the phone and I called them. When it was all said and done, TRA settled my $114,000 debt for $100, and I'm telling you, I was ecstatic. Could not believe it. Would recommend TRA to anyone.
If you owe 10 or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to the IRS, don't lose hope. Do what Mark did and call TRA for a consultation.
But TRA did. They gave me a second chance, and I'm forever grateful.
Visit TRA.com or call 800-575-8924. 800-575-8924. That's 800-575-8924.
Take the journey of living a happy, successful, and meaningful life through God. Listen to It's Time with Dan Lights, Sunday mornings at 9 on our sister station, AM 1160. Hope for your life.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. Still jam-packed on the Ike outbound between Austin Boulevard and Wolf Road with a rollover dump truck. 2 left lanes are blocked. It is jam-packed, so it's 50 minutes. From the old post office to Wolf, inbound is 30 minutes. You've got a crash on the eastbound side of the Jane Addams. It's on the exit ramp to get onto the southbound side of Route 53. 15 in, 25 out on the Edens from Lake Cook to Montrose. 44 in both directions on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Byrne Interchange. interchange, slammed in the express lanes inbound as you head towards Ohio Street. You've got 56 minutes inbound on the Stevenson. From Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore, outbound is 46, 30 in 12 out on the Dan Ryan. From 95th to the Byrne interchange, the express lanes inbound slow down between Garfield Boulevard and the Stevenson. We're still shut down on the northwest side with an accident on Irving Park Road between Kimball Avenue and Kenzie Avenue. This report is a service of the AM 560 mobile app. Listen to AM 560 on your smartphone or mobile device when you download the AM 560 mobile app at 560theanswer.com/mobile. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late. The sky will be filled with thick clouds and it will be breezy. These thunderstorms have the potential to bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The high temperature will reach 69 degrees. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft on AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. We got several first-person accounts from attendees to the White House Correspondents' Center on Saturday night. Brought to you Wolf Blitzers earlier, as well as Benny Harmony from Real America's Voice. This is a young man who's news associate for the Wall Street Journal, Terrell Wright. Here was his first-person account.
I'm inside the Hilton Hotel in Washington, D.C. where there was just shots fired not too far from me. As they were being fired behind me, I was leaving the restroom on a mezzanine floor, and I ducked, and I jumped on the staircase, just trying to make my way down, crawling into the ballroom floor until I felt like I was in safety. And once I crawled into the ballroom, I hid underneath a table where there was cloth, and there was a woman next to me, and we just held each other's hands as we all hid underneath the floor. It was quite an emotional moment. I'm still in the hotel now. I'm not sure if I am able to go, but fortunately I am safe. Fortunately, it seems like the situation is under control.
And it was under control, but of course the event could not continue given the need for law enforcement to have a handle on the matter and know exactly what they were dealing with. That made eminent sense. President Trump did a post-shooting press briefing pretty quickly after, where he made the expected call for the need to resolve our political differences peacefully rather than with gunplay.
The first time in the past couple of years that our republic has been attacked by a would-be assassin who sought to kill. In Butler, Pennsylvania, less than 2 years ago, you all know that story, and in Palm Beach, Florida, a few months after that, we came close. We really had, again, we had some great work done by law enforcement. But in light of this evening's events, I ask that all Americans recommit with their hearts in resolving our difference peacefully. We have to resolve our differences. I will say, you had Republicans, Democrats, independents, conservatives, liberals, and progressives. Those words are interchangeable, perhaps, but maybe they're not. But yet everybody in that room, big crowd, record-setting crowd. There was a record-setting group of people, and there was a tremendous amount of love and coming together.
Yeah, love and coming together. That's the same thing that the president of the White House Correspondents Association, CBS senior White House correspondent Weijia Jiang, said, echoing the president's sentiments about this alleged coming together.
In the briefing just now, you heard him. He said, tonight was supposed to bring the White House and the press together, and in a way this has, because you realize the gravity, and you realize that, the one thing we have in common the one thing is our duty to the American people.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that's what it's about.
Is that what it's about? Not all members of the press distinguish themselves in the moment. For example, Liz Landers at PBS, while Pete Hegseth and his wife were being scurried out of the ballroom by security, because he's a Secretary of War, cabinet officials were immediately attended to by security to get them to safety in an uncertain environment. Liz Landers, PBS, was chasing him, asking him...
Hey, is the president okay? Mr. Secretary, is the president going back to the dinner?
And then she posted on X, Hegseth moving through a hallway back near the stage of the Correspondence Center did not take questions from the press. It's like he's ducking the press in that moment. And then there was this reporting from the Wall Street Journal that guests at a Sunday brunch hosted by Politico and The Star traded stories from the night before, including how they ducked and covered under tables, in which cabinet secretaries that got a glimpse of being evacuated by Secret Service. They sipped espresso martinis, Aperol spritzes, and champagne. Some were overheard musing about whether the White House Correspondents' Dinner would follow through on rescheduling the event, and if so, whether they would need to order new gowns or if it would be socially acceptable to repeat their outfits from Saturday. Your venerable D.C. press corps in action. Okay, brother. For more on this and what happened that evening, another first-person account, if you will. Annie Chikvadze, I hope I'm pronouncing that name relatively well. And Annie Chikvadze, she is a Washington-based journalist covering U.S. foreign policy, European security, and international affairs. She was there on Saturday night. Annie, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
So what did you see and hear in those harried moments?
First of all, you did pronounce my last name pretty well, but
thank you.
Well, I have to say I was at the event above the ballroom. I was not in the ballroom per se, but the prevalent thing for everybody, and I hope you can hear me well, was that we were there was a lot of confusion and chaos. Nobody knew what was going on. We saw armed police officers, heavily armed, running through the hotel, through the lobby, going downstairs, obviously evacuating dignitaries, and everybody else sort of stood around while they were trying to get people out, unsure what to do. There was people didn't know whether to leave the hotel, whether to go in the bathroom, hide, or... To be honest, most of the people just stayed where they were, and I think the reason for that was that this was technically one of the, best guarded places in Washington at the time, since there was police everywhere. So I think that sort of created more sense of security for people. That's why people did not stop panic and running, but no instructions were given to people who were hundreds of them who were in the hotel what to do. And how to react. I'm sure that part of the reason was not to cause panic and not to have people run around. But yeah, chaos and confusion were the things that were prevalent that night. And also the news was coming sort of, it was like just whispers and gossip and people talking to each other with the first 5-10 minutes because nobody really knew what was going on.
Right, and so you were a floor above, but then when were what was the timing? This happened, and then how long was it before you got enough information or direction so that you could peacefully exit?
I think it was around 20 minutes maybe that we stayed there not knowing what to do and finally decided to leave the hotel at some point with police giving us directions. The protesters were still outside the hotel as we were leaving, yelling at those exiting the building. Police had the building surrounded, and you would see a lot of people dressed in dressed in gowns, and suits standing around the streets around the Washington Hilton. It's a very large hotel. It covers a big perimeter, and the event had around like 2,600 guests, so it was a lot of people on the streets. But no official guidance was given of what to do next. I don't know what else to add to that. I think it's very sad what happened. It's sad that this is becoming prevalent in American politics. Violence should not have a place in politics. And sort of we see that the United States, if I may say so, is living sort of through its years of lead. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but still, like we see so many events and violence political violence that one has to think what has happened in American politics and what are we witnessing?
Yeah, no, those are operative questions. I note that from your piece in The Spectator that you caught some interesting comments too amid the confusion. That to understate it is to suggest people weren't concerned. They were positively inured to what had happened and were worried more about whether their evening had been ruined as compared to their safety.
Well, yeah, I think because there was a confusion, and it's Washington, D.C., I guess the question, one prevalent question was like, what's happening next? Are we still going to the after parties? And a lot of people were asking that question. I do think that most of these people have covered the White House, the president. They've seen.
They're used to assassination attempts.
Sure. The American public is used to the assassination attempts, and that's a sad thing to say, and that should not be the case. But same time, as I said, I think the fact that there was in the end of the day, still a lot of police presence, and National Guard was there, and so on. People still felt safe that they would feel if this was happening anywhere else. Same time, it's really it really is an interesting question to how this person managed to get so close to the ballroom and where president was and where all the journalists were, because around 4 blocks around the hotel were closed off. Interesting thing is that there were other guests in the hotel. Actually, we were sitting at a table on the upper level with like some people who were not at the event also roaming around, and that was an interesting thing, honestly, how these people were allowed. Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things Bill Malugin from Fox News posted on X about the security was basically he just had to sort of waive his ticket to get 4 blocks into the actual hotel and fairly close to the ballroom before there was any magnetometer, any real security vetting. And so that's part of the question as to whether or not.
Even more, if you went through the other entrance of the hotel, you could have gone without, like, I was not screened for anything. I just walked in on upper level because line was longer downstairs, and I decided to go up. And I just entered the hotel without any screening, just flashing the ticket, and anybody could have gotten hold of that ticket.
Were you able to escape with any bottles of bourbon or champagne like some people?
No, we did not have the luxury, let's say. But,
I see. Okay.
No, I mean, honestly, everybody there was just in confusion, and then most of the people
thirsty.
At the event, the officials, I think, ended up at an after parties. Most of the city but 17th Street and a couple of streets leading to the White House were closed off after the event. So some of the events that were supposed to happen later that evening were canceled, but others took place. So yes, it's true. That was the question. But I think it also points to people being used to these situations and sort of living their life.
Yeah, right. One of the guests you reported in your piece in The Spectator said, quote, "I don't want to die because of a president I don't support," unquote. So what's your reaction to the lovey-dovey characterizations that Trump and and Wajir Zhang had to say about the administration and the press having a moment on that evening?
Honestly, I don't want to go into giving my opinion. It should not be interesting to the listener. I'm gonna avoid like political assessments, but I don't think it's okay for the officials and the press, who anyways have to interact, to have a day and an evening like this, which sort of, for outsiders, and I'm not a citizen of the United States, it's sort of is a tradition that is. How do I say that should be a strength of America, actually, that you see sort of political discourse being civilized and everybody doing their jobs and getting along, and like having a political disagreement doesn't mean that it has to translate into political violence. So for an outsider, events such as White House Correspondents' Dinners looks as one of those things that tells you about how exceptional in the United States is when it comes to free speech and freedoms that you guys enjoy in this country. So that's what I would say in response to your question. Obviously, there were people at the event who did not support the president or the Republican Party, and there were the supporters of the president and supporters of the Republican Party as well present at the event. So it was, and that's exactly what is something that when outsiders and other countries look at the United States, they find it sort of, how can I put it? Like, we are sort of jealous that you have that sort of political tradition. But like I said, lately, political violence is taking over, and disagreement should never be expressed in violent form in political space, I would say.
Annie Chikvadze, Washington-based journalist covering U.S. foreign policy, European security, and international affairs. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And she joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you 65 or older and dealing with chronic knee or shoulder pain? You're not alone. At the Joint Relief Institute, we've helped thousands find real relief without surgery. Our non-surgical, FDA-approved treatment uses hyaluronic gel that acts like a cushion between the bones in your knee. As we age, the cushion naturally wears down, causing painful grinding and popping. But our gel restores that cushion, allowing your knee to move smoothly again. Ready to stop the pain and get back to doing what you love? Call the Joint Relief Institute at 708-315-6800. Again, that's 708-315-6800.
Move better, live better with JRI.
Move better and live better with JRI. Contact the Joint Relief Institute today and get back to doing what you love. Call 708-315-6800 or visit jointreliefinstitute.com. Locations in Glenview, Oak Brook, and Orland Park. Call 708-315-6800. Medicare and most private insurance plans accepted. Reclaim your mobility with the Joint Relief Institute.
Hey, if you're living with joint pain, listen up. I want you to try something different. You don't have to live in pain every day. Have a conversation with my friends at QC Kinetics and tell them I sent you when you do. They offer all-natural regenerative treatments for joint pain. I've seen the results and personally recommend Dr. Caravelli and her team. Stop saying to yourself, this is just how I am now. That's not okay. Get back to normal. Get back to the normal you, the one who was active and carefree. QC Kinetics is helping AM 560 listeners with pain from arthritis or injury in their knees, hips, and shoulders. Now they're moving again, golfing and running without surgery or long recovery. The science is real. The treatments are natural. Your body knows how to heal. QC Kinetics will show you how without surgery. Don't watch summer pass you by again, stuck on your couch, afraid to move. Take action today. Schedule an appointment right now. Consultations are free. To do so, call 312-827-6261. Again, 312-827-6261. Call QC Kinetics at 312-827-6261.
Picture warm Gulf breezes, turquoise waters, white sand beaches. Now, add evenings of conversation with Salem Media's Mike Gallagher, Scott Jennings, Larry O'Connor, and Jennifer Horn. This November, sail from Fort Lauderdale to the Bahamas, Jamaica, the Cayman Islands, and Mexico on a 7-day journey built for those who love this country. Book your cabin today when you text the word cruise to 94878. Celebrate America's 250th anniversary the right way on the Gulf of America Cruise. Book your cabin now. Text the word cruise to 94878.
Business owners, now's the time for your business to make the move to a locally owned business bank. Hi, Mike Gallagher here to let you know that you don't have to look far. Signature Bank was founded in Chicago with a simple mission to help companies like yours grow, succeed, and thrive. Their decisions are made locally by a terrific team that knows your name, cares about your business, and invests in your success. That's why Signature Bank is my bank. I'm a customer. As business owners, they knew that local family-owned businesses were not getting the help they needed or deserved. So I invite you to reach out to my friends at Signature Bank today. Write the number down. Remember this phone number, Signature Bank, 773-467-5630, and learn all about this great bank, 773-467-5630, or visit them online at signaturebank.bank. That's signaturebank.bank. Signature Bank makes commercial banking personal. Member FDIC, equal housing lender.
The following advertisement includes a celebrity impersonation.
The summer heat in Chicagoland is no joke. And if your old air conditioner is making funny noises, you may already know it's time for a new unit.
Look, your air conditioner, it's a disaster. People are telling me it's the worst ever.
Don't sweat it, literally. When it comes to cooling your home, Air Right Heating and Cooling does it the best.
And they love our country. Beautiful people.
Rebates are still available, financing is flexible, and at Air Right installations are smooth and professional with no surprises.
It's beautiful. Some people say it's the coolest air anyone's ever felt. I don't know. That's just what they're saying. It's doing an incredible job. Really tremendous.
Plus, tell them AM 560 sent you and Air Right will give you $56 off any service. Visit Air Right Heating and Cooling today at AIR-RITE.com. Again, that's AIR-RITE.com. Air Right Heating and Cooling, doing it right since 1959.
Platform safety is critical at your commercial and industrial facility. Keeping people safe and meeting OSHA requirements isn't optional. That's why Vans Industrial offers free platform inspections by professional structural engineers who know exactly what to look for. Problems with platforms, ladders, or stairs can lead to costly fines or worse. Vans Industrial helps you meet OSHA standards to protect people in your facility.
Hi, I'm Dave Van Camp, president of Vans Industrial. With decades of experience, I bring long-standing industry knowledge from inspecting, correcting, and replacing countless platforms to make facilities safer. Vans Industrial is a specialty contractor equipped to modify or replace steel catwalks, handrails, stairways, and ladders. Our union building trades professionals fabricate and install high-quality steel systems that create safer work environments.
Call 833-VANS-IND for a free platform inspection by professional structural engineers. See what else we can do for you. Visit vansindustrial.com. That's VANS Industrial.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up at 8:38, we're going to talk to retired Secret Service agent Mike Olson about some of those security questions surrounding Saturday night's failed assassination attempt. That's 8:38. Now we check the headlines.
Good morning. It is 54 degrees here in Chicago on AM 560 The Answer. I'm Stace Keene in the QC Kinetics newsroom. We do need to be weather aware today, so we have a chance for severe storms this afternoon and into the evening hours. Charges are pending after a Chicago police officer was killed and another critically wounded during a shooting over the weekend at Swedish Hospital on the north side. Cook County Medical Examiner's Office identified the officer who died as Officer John Bartholomew. The second officer is still fighting for his life at the hospital. Police say the male was in custody and receiving treatment inside Swedish Hospital on Saturday for an unrelated incident when he used a firearm to shoot the two officers. He fled the scene and was later taken into custody. A former Illinois State Police officer has been sentenced to 2 years of probation and 30 hours of public service, as well as being ordered to pay more than $41,000 in restitution after he was convicted of loan fraud. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul says 52-year-old John Severs of Chicago fraudulently received 2 loans through the federal Paycheck Protection Program back in 2021. News is a service of American Beam and Steel Structural Repair licensed contractors for your home and business. Search for American Beam and Steel online to schedule your consultation directly with the owner, Mark. American Beam and Steel. A check of the roads is coming up in 2 minutes on AM 560, The Answer.
Looking for a powerful way to support your immune system? Now's your chance to win a free bottle of Virago, the immune enhancement cocktail made with 23 science-backed ingredients, including vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and natural nutraceuticals designed to support your body's natural defenses. 10 winners will each receive a free bottle. Hey, don't miss your shot to boost your wellness routine. Enter today at 560theanswer.com/immune. That's 560theanswer.com/IMMUNE.
Do you owe $10,000 or more in credit card debt or personal loans? With credit card debt at all-time highs, Debt Relief Advocates is urgently notifying consumers of debt relief now being made available, designed to aid consumers with out-of-control credit card debt. Those who qualify and enroll for this relief program will only have to pay back a fraction of what they owe. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. This is a relief program that credit card companies would rather you not know about, as it ends your debt nightmare and saves you lots of money. Consumers owing at least $10,000 in credit card debt or personal loans can now take advantage of this debt relief as the cost of living skyrockets. Debt Relief Advocates has established a relief hotline for you to call to learn what debt reduction you may qualify for, so don't wait. For this free information, call the Relief Hotline at 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174. 800-522-2174.
Only a few short months ago, you heard silver was up 40%. Well, silver is now up over 260%. Fox Valley Coins saw it coming, and they're ready to help. Unlike dealers that only buy or only sell, Fox Valley Coins does both. No middleman. That means you get the best deal on the dollar. Selling? Fox Valley Coins pays top dollar for rare coins, scrap gold and silver, bars, proof sets, and entire collections of any size, going through every item right in front of you. Cash, check, or wire transfer. Buying? Fox Valley Coins carries all major gold, silver, and platinum physical products. Complete discretion. Your business stays your business. Fox Valley Coins, family-owned integrity since 1981. On Route 59, one light north of I-88 at the Naperville-Warrenville border. Fox Valley Coins. Buy smart, sell smart.
Right now, our Jewish friends feel forgotten. There's a Jewish woman named Esther I'd like to tell you about. In Israel, Esther is living through days and nights of fear, sirens sounding, rockets falling, long stretches spent in a bomb shelter. At 84, Esther is elderly and alone. No help, no food deliveries, no medical care. In a war zone. But because of friends like you, Esther is not alone. Through the fellowship, you're there, bringing food, meeting urgent needs, and reminding Jewish people like Esther, you are not forgotten. Esther asked that you hear these words. To those who give, you are doing a very great mitzvah, a good deed. You give from your hearts. May God protect you. Your prayers for God's protection and for the peace of Jerusalem give Jewish people like Esther hope. Stand with Israel in prayer by visiting supportifcj.org. That's supportifcj.org.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Goldilocks, offering 24/7 security solutions for homes and businesses. Call them today at 708-889-5600.
Taking a look at the roads from the Team Hochberg Traffic Center, I'm Sue Aller. We are jam-packed on the Ike outbound between East Avenue and Wolf Road with a flipped-over dump truck taking down 2 left lanes. So we're looking at an hour 20 from the old post office to Wolf. Inbound is 42. You got a crash in the local lanes inbound on the Dan Ryan at 18th Street, taking out the right lane. So 32 minutes from 95th to the Burn Interchange. Outbound is 12. The express lanes inbound slow down between Garfield Boulevard and the Stevenson. You got a crash on the eastbound Jade Addams to get onto the southbound side of Route 53. Route 53 is solid between the Ike and Kirchhoff Boulevard. 42 in, 47 out on the Kennedy from O'Hare to the Burn Interchange. The express lanes slow down into Ohio Street. 53 in, 37 out on the Stevenson from Veterans Memorial to Lakeshore. This report is a service of Straight Talk Wireless. Every now and then you find a deal that actually feels like a win. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get more and pay less now. That's a good deal. No contracts, no credit checks, no surprises. All on Verizon's 5G network. Find it in the same place you've always found straightforward prices, exclusively at Walmart and StraightTalk.com. Chicago's Morning Answer continues next, but now the latest forecast from the Air Right Heating and Cooling Weather Center.
Today, expect periods of rain and thunderstorms with some potentially severe storms arriving late in the day. The sky will be covered with thick clouds and it will be breezy. Thunderstorms may bring flooding downpours, hail, and damaging wind gusts. The temperature will reach a high of 69. I'm meteorologist Jason Caterina on AM 560, The Answer.
Get the latest weather, traffic, and news updates online at 560theanswer.com. Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. Only the biggest stories, only the biggest guests, and only the biggest opinions. This is AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan Proft here. So President Trump was very complimentary of the Secret Service's performance on Saturday night, saying this in the post-shooting press conference.
I probably made them act a little bit more slow. They said, wait a minute, let me see, wait a minute. So, I'm telling guys.
Just at that moment where it looks like you go sort of down with the service, you were telling them to wait?
Well, I know what happened is then I started walking with them. I started walking, and they said, please go down on the floor. So I went down, and First Lady went down also, but we were asked to go down by the agents as I was walking. In other words,
they wanted you almost to crawl
I was
out.
standing up, pretty much. I was standing up and then turned around the opposite direction and started pretty much walking out, pretty tall, a little bent over because I'm not looking to be standing too tall. And but I was walking out. It was about halfway there, and they said, please go down to the floor, please go down to the floor. So I dropped to the floor, so did the First Lady.
So that was actually in a 60 Minutes interview, but so that's a little bit more color. But in the post-shooting press conference he did while still in his tux, he did say this.
I'd be up here right now saying they didn't do their job. Oh, believe me, because, it's my life, and I want to live because I want to make this country great. That's why I want to live. But when you're impactful, they go after you. When you're not impactful, they leave you alone.
So he was saying, look, if I thought Secret Service was deserving of criticism, then I would criticize them, but they're not. And as Bill Maloogian from Fox News said in his post about security on Saturday night, two things can be true. Secret Service and other law enforcement acted heroically and professionally in the moment, but there are questions about the preparations that were made in advance of that event, as we were just talking about with Annie, who was also there, talking about how close you could get to the ballroom without ever having to be, basically patted down, passed through a magnetometer, so forth. And it wasn't just Bill Maloogian saying it. Of course, in the shooter's manifesto. Not that I'm taking him as a security expert, but, by the way, this guy wasn't a dummy, and we shouldn't be surprised he wasn't a dummy. Computer science guy from Caltech, mechanical engineering. We shouldn't be surprised he's not a dummy because, just a reminder, the Jacobins, the French Revolution, and some of the most murderous thugs of that period in that country, like Robespierre. Robespierre was trained in the law. It was professionals and the scions of professionals that were the backbone of the Jacobins. And so is somewhat the case of the neo-Marxists in this country. But he wrote the would-be assassin, who called himself a friendly federal assassin. What the hell is the Secret Service doing? Sorry, got to rant a bit here and drop the formal tone. Like I expected security cameras at every bend, bugged hotel rooms, armed agents every 10 feet, metal detectors out the wazoo. What I got, who knows, maybe they're pranking me, is nothing. No damn security, not in the transport, not in the hotel, not in the event. Like the one thing I immediately noticed walking into the hotel is the sense of arrogance. I walk in with multiple weapons and not a single person there considers the possibility that I could be a threat. The security at the event is all outside, focused on protesters and current arrivals because apparently no one thought about what happens if someone checks in the day before. Bit of a stinging indictment. And by the way, I know that there has been some defense of the Secret Service and the use of this moment to say, oh, by the way, the Democrats have defunded the Secret Service for the last 2 months, and so they've been working without paychecks. This is what House Majority Whip Tom Emmer had to say.
What happened last night, in spite of 71 days of refusing to fund some of the most important law enforcement officers in our country, TSA, the Coast Guard. We're not just talking about Secret Service. We're not just talking about all of these other law enforcement agencies. This is a big, big deal that these Democrats are literally playing with the safety of Americans. By the way, Republican, Democrat, and other, it doesn't matter what your political perspective is. It's about Americans' safety. The fact that these guys performed so flawlessly last night while under the stress of wondering whether they're going to continue to get paid and all the rest of it is even more impressive.
Yeah, but what about the preparation? Because the reality is, from Butler, well, actually pre-Butler forward, and Susan Crabtree's reporting on this has been central from Real Clear Politics. You know, the Secret Service is not exactly covering itself in glory. There was the failure at Butler. There was the failure at West Palm. Now there's arguably a failure here in terms of security planning, not response in the moment, but security planning. And, you know, just over the last couple of months, the stories persist. The Secret Service agent who was in charge of developing and executing the failed security plan for Butler, she's been suspended again and is under internal investigation for allegedly improperly reporting her relationship with an eventual marriage to a foreign national. The third time in a year that the agent, Mayo Perez, who served as the site agent for the Butler campaign rally, has been suspended. We had another Secret Service agent who got honeypotted by James O'Keefe, one of James O'Keefe's undercover reporters, providing locations of J.D. Vance, and he's been suspended. We got a report from Susan Crabtree again that Sean Curran, the current director of Secret Service, used a sting operation to try to find her sources in the agency detailing some of these failures. Going back to last year, Secret Service agent assigned to Kamala's stepdaughter moonlined as a plus-size model, never passed a physical fitness test. The Secret Service agent who accidentally shot himself accompanying Jill Biden to the Philly airport, Jill Biden, J-I-L-L, Jill Biden to the Philly airport last month. So do we have a problem with what happened on Saturday night in terms of planning? Do we have a running problem with Secret Service in general? That's something I think that there's concern about. Otherwise, I doubt that Susie Wiles would want to meet with Sean Curran as she reportedly does. Okay, for more on this, pleased to be joined by Mike Olson. Mike is a retired Secret Service agent, and he is a co-founder and owner of 360 Security Services, 360security.services, 360security.services. Mike, thanks for joining us again. Appreciate it.
Hey, welcome, Dan. Good morning.
So let's start with Saturday night. I mean, you've heard the same things that I've heard, and you have obviously more expertise in understanding what was done versus what should have been. What about heightened security, both internal at the hotel as well as outside the perimeter, such that you couldn't just waive your ticket and get to the inner sanctum right outside the ballroom before you were had to pass through a metal detector?
Well, so I've actually, in my career, it's been quite some time, but I did participate in numerous security events there at the Washington Hilton. And there's one thing I have not yet heard talked about, and that may help people understand a little bit here about the nuances of and the difficulties of a hotel venue for securing. This event, despite the number of very important people, protectees, that were there from various different entities, was not what's called a national special security event. It's an important designation because under that designation, it allows the Secret Service to spend a lot more money, get awarded more money to protect an entire venue much further in advance than it normally does for the average site it protects. Normally, as we saw on Saturday night, a hotel, when we bring people in or Secret Service or anybody brings somebody in, you're bringing them into a live environment that's also a business. Mm-hmm. And so there's this massive push and give and take that exists between security, people that are the planners for the event, and then of course the hotel or the event venue itself as far as what they'll allow, not allow. If you're going to close something down, you're going to take over rooms, it's going to cost you a lot of money to buy those rooms and take control of them. So layers of security are put in place, and I think that's what we saw here, and enough has come out in some of the dialogue since Saturday night, that what people see is that a particular portion of the hotel was secured to ensure that the people that are required by law to be protected were that the normal protection apparatus that goes into place there was put in place, and they were protected with the layers of security that is required to do that.
Do you think though that, I mean, this is Monday morning quarterbacking, but do you think that in retrospect, after Butler, after West Palm Beach, and you've got the president there for the first time at this dinner, plus 5 cabinet secretaries, that it should have gotten that designation that provides for more resources and thus more security?
Without the purview of all the current intelligence, here's my humble professional opinion, given the state of conflict we're in, especially with the country of Iran. Yes, I think something like this has to be taken into consideration when you have that many successors to the presidency in one place outside the normal, the White House or the Capitol or other regular places that they regularly go to. I think something like that does have to be seriously considered, and that has to be considered from the same group of people that are currently defunding the Department of Homeland Security or aren't funding.
Yeah, no, true. I mean, and that's the point that Emmer was making. But I mean, even to put a more fine point on it, as Mnuchin did, going back to him, is like, basically said, look, I could have walked in there with an explosive device, and if I was a suicide bomber or something, I mean, he didn't say this, but essentially the implication is, look, if I was a suicide bomber and wanted to protest the war in Iran or whatever, I could have blown the whole place up.
So here's what I can say to that, and I'll first start it with, I will be shocked, and I will eat my shoe that's on my foot right now if something has changed since I left the Secret Service, that the Technical Security Division and the military units that they work with, the explosive ordnance disposal units, weren't considering all that, hadn't conducted some type of SWEP, the hotel wasn't posted. It's possible that people that attended it just didn't see that level of sweep and posting that occurred. What normally happens in a soft environment like this is individuals that aren't going to be within arm's reach, aren't going to be within gunshot range, things like that, are allowed to move around. They may be moving amongst a security plan that's in place that they just don't quite see. Okay. However, and I want you to know, I've participated in that, where we have swept rooms. We have swept. We've had to get permission from hotel occupants to sweep their rooms because it was in proximity to where the president or the vice president would be. So this was occurring many, many years ago. So for me to think that didn't go on would be astounding. And so I'm not saying it did it or didn't, because I don't know. But if it didn't, that's shocking and atrocious, and something seriously needs to be evaluated.
There was something else, too. I mean, there was reports that somebody notified somebody's, including the Connecticut police. I don't really understand exactly. That information is very fragmented right now, about this guy, this would-be assassin, and that he was a problem. And there was suggestion that family members had notified law enforcement, too, that he was a problem. He was saying radical things. He was talking about making change, consistent with these radical things he was saying about Trump and Republicans and whatever. So that seems to be something that has to be in the after action report too, is who communicated what to whom and how, or did it get to Secret Service or on-site security, or did not, right?
Oh, 100%. So the Secret Service actually has historically a very good protective intelligence program in place. And in that scenario, that's part of the reason the Secret Service has field offices across the country, is because of the liaison efforts and the work they do with other law enforcement agencies, local, state, and federal. One of the things local law enforcement knows, if they ever receive any type of threatening information that's directed towards the president, vice president, or anybody the Secret Service protects, that they are to call in and report that. And there's a whole system that gets activated depending on information that's learned. So one of the critical pieces, or a couple of the most critical pieces, that would have had to have been asked by somebody, even if it wasn't the local police, but then the Secret Service responding immediately, would have been, is the direction of interest of that person against the president, vice president, or anybody, versus just making threats in general. Mm-hmm. And then number two, have they traveled, or where are they now? Where is that person now? And so if that information was that they are in Washington, D.C., for example, and that has happened, I've witnessed that throughout my career, it puts into place a whole different, response tone and a level of tone as to the current security plan, where they're currently located, and also results usually in photographs being disseminated to security teams, to be on the lookout for and things like that. So to your point, that is going to be a critical after action review as to what was known, when was it known, and what was done about it with that information. Absolutely.
I think I know the answer to this question, but because this has been an area online, at least I've seen, of criticism directed at the Secret Service, I want to get your response. He bum rushes the area where there's the metal detector. He fires reportedly 5 to 8 shots, of course, hits a Secret Service agent. Thankfully, the vest saved that agent, and he's already been released from the hospital. Secret Service apparently fired back, but they didn't hit him. And so there's been some critique there. When you see on the video, he runs through firing and they fire back and they miss him. And so this is somehow indicative that Secret Service was needs some work on their marksmanship. How do you respond to that?
Well, the first thing I'll add is the states and every law enforcement officer is accountable to their round. So if we can't see from the video that we've been showing that what is in the background of where officers are lining up shots. I'm not defending it. What I can tell you is the Secret Service has exceptional marksmen, but you're still accountable to every single round that you let out of that gun, and so that factors in. And Dan, something else I want to point out here is I haven't seen anybody talking about this, and I've not watching every single source of news out there on the planet. But watching the video that the president himself released on Truth Social on Saturday night, I haven't seen anybody talking about the fact that there was another, what appeared to me to be a uniformed division agent, could have been local law enforcement, that was posted in the very much lower part of the screen, that actually appeared to have picked up on the shooter running at them through the checkpoint. He or she, I believe it's a he that looked like, but he or she draws their gun and it appears to be trying to engage the person. But if you look at that video, there's numerous other law enforcement officers, uniform division officers in that, path. And then the one that everybody kind of sees is the agent standing there with the suit on that then draws and then they all kind of, appear to, converge on what we can't see in the video there. But I would encourage everybody to look at that carefully, but also keep in mind that Secret Service or not, everybody is accountable to their round that they fire out of that weapon. So if you fire with the intent to protect the president, but you kill an innocent person or a member of the White House Correspondents' Dinner, you're going to be accountable to that action.
Mike Olson is a retired Secret Service agent, co-founder and owner of 360 Security Services, 360security.services. Mike, thanks so much for joining us again. Appreciate your insights.
You're welcome, Dan. Have a great day.
You too. And Mike joined us on the alphawealthgroup.com answer line.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer.
Your show keeps me alive during the week. There's nobody I'd rather listen to between 5 and 9 in the morning than you guys.
On AM 560, The Answer.
If moving safely around your home is a concern, you deserve clear answers, not a sales pitch.
Access will help you improve home accessibility with practical solutions like lifts, grab bars, and home modifications, designed to fit your home, your needs, and budget. Experienced professionals will take the time to explain your options so you can make an informed decision. If staying safe and comfortable in your home matters to you, start with a free in-home consultation. Call Access at 630-616-6249 or visit allaboutaccess.com.
For months, you've been hearing ads about Virago Immune Support. I have to tell you, this stuff is for real. I had an occasion to not be feeling well on a remote broadcast. I took it, and it is the real deal. And the stronger your immune system, the stronger your body defends against diseases, viruses, and everything else. That's why Dr. Huber created Virago, a liquid immune booster supplement. You take it daily. It's a blend of 23 nutraceuticals working in synergy to maximize effects and boost your immune system. It's the nutraceutical cocktail for an immune system, antiviral, anti-inflammatory, antioxidant. Virago even protects your heart, your kidneys, your liver, all in a unique liquid supplement for better absorption. Do yourself and your spouse a favor. Order a bottle of Virago today online at myvirago.com. That's myvirago.com. Use coupon code IMMUNE to save 30%. Maha and Virago, making America healthy again.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, thank you for joining us on another edition of Chicago's Morning Answer after a distressingly eventful weekend. I'm sure we'll have more on both shootings tomorrow, in addition to other topics. Join us tomorrow for more wit and wisdom. It is now 9 o'clock on AM 560 WIND Chicago.
He wants cooler and calmer politics. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News.
It's time to turn down the rhetoric. We've been saying this over and over.
House Speaker Mike Johnson tells Fox.
The most prominent figures in the House and the Senate on the Democrat side, effectively, calling for war. I mean, they use those kinds of metaphors.
He was there Saturday night when an attacker tried to shoot his way into the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I didn't hear the gunshots, and the next thing I know, half my security team comes behind me, rushes up, grabs me by the shoulders, and pushes me out the nearest exit door.
The attacker did not get into the room, stopped by law enforcement, though he did shoot a Secret Service agent who was not badly wounded. The suspect, Cole Allen, will be in court in a few hours facing assault and firearms charges, with more expected later. FBI Director Kash Patel tells Fox.
This incident happened on late Saturday night, and it's Monday morning, and we're about to go to court. That's a pretty quick turnaround, if not maybe the fastest for something of this magnitude.
Fox's David Spunt's outside that court.
We expect this to be a relatively short first appearance before a magistrate judge. We know that he has been under heavy lockup and heavy security since he was taken into custody Saturday night at the Washington Hilton. And we are told via law enforcement sources that at first he was talkative and cooperating, telling his side of the story a little bit, but then we're told that went down to a trickle and he stopped talking.
Britain's King Charles is still coming to the